And a good morning to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Pidi Martinique. Once again, it is time for Hard Talk. My name is Sheldon Scott.
And I'm Devon Romain.
And we have a third person in studio with us. Good morning, KB.
Good morning, Brother Scott. Good morning, Devon. Good morning, listeners.
Yes, indeed. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning on the most beautiful place to be on the planet Earth. Hey, we ain't guessing.
Show them why it's real beautiful.
I can't show them nothing.
You can't show them here too.
Yeah, because Mr. Technical Man in there, I can't
there.
show them. Oh, I will show them.
We don't show them.
Yeah, but you see, that's the thing. We're on the most beautiful place on planet Earth. And indeed, we need to say a special, glorious Grenadian good morning to each and every one of you. This is Hard Talk. We're live on 97.5 City Sound FM.
And 92.9 Sister Isles in Carriacou.
Yeah, 94.9 out there in Brooklyn. Good morning to you, the original Kudumunu Wayne himself.
Yeah, Kudumunu.
Good morning to you. And to those of you joining us on the live, remember to like and share the live. Yeah, so why should man wait? Why should man join one? Should man wait till he jump in one time? Yeah, man. He jump in one time. He waiting. Yes, indeed, folks. So, you know, when KB in studio with us, it does end up being a kind of different kind of vibes. I have to straighten that. Wait, let me straighten that. It's like nice. Wait, no, I have to bring it a little nice. I think, yeah. I think I'll be there. You all know when KB is in studio with us, there's be a kind of program. Yeah, so right now we're getting ready for a kind of program. But before we go to the program, just a bit of information for you all. There is that release from the Ministry of Health in relation to the visit by the People's Republic of China ship, the Ark Peace that is here. And remember something, KB, you know Grenada is the only country on planet Earth to ever get the Ark Peace to visit twice within 10 years.
That's great.
Grenada is the only country, not a country in Africa, not a country in the Pacific, not a country in Asia, not a country in South, Central, or North America. The only country to ever have this vessel visit so soon after its last visit is Grenada.
And we should be grateful. And some people asking, what is it the Chinese want? What we have to give them in return? I mean, that's the contribution to humanity. We don't have Grenada for sale. And that is the problem. We have to be grateful whatever the Chinese give us.
I believe so. And there's this mood that some are pushing, though, like the Chinese are here to take over and the Chinese are here to... And let's explain something to them here. Because I keep seeing some people in certain quarters pushing a certain agenda and speaking about that as though the Chinese are here to take over the port and to take over the airport and to take over sections of Grenada. But you see, Grenada is different to the other countries that may have had little issues in paying back their loans in that one. Grenada doesn't owe a set of loans to China. Most of what we've got is grants. So when you look at the housing project, it's a grant. It's not a loan of X amount, a million or billion that Grenada has to go and find money and pay back. Grenada has to set up the infrastructure and the Chinese do the work, and it's a grant. So you don't have to pay that back.
We have to be grateful.
The stadia, grant again.
The housing.
The housing, the stadia, all of these things, grant money that has been given to Grenada that Grenada don't have to pay back.
And the Chinese contribution to the banks and so on. You know, the Caribbean Development Bank.
Yeah.
So access to loans there. And so my problem with that is how we treat our guests. When people come into your country as a guest, you treat them like a guest. And once they behave as a guest, you treat them like a guest.
If they don't behave as a guest, we just get kind of
Of course, when they don't behave as a guest, Devon, we get mad with them.
Yeah, Lord Brownlow know about that.
Yes. But once they come in as a guest, we ought to treat them as a guest.
KB, I heard a story once about Sir Eric Matthew Gary. I heard that there was this person living in a specific area in Grenada that had a dog that used to always come out and bite people when they're passing. But apparently it had a certain hankering for a certain color of people you want to bite when they're passing. So Eric just called the gentleman and he told the gentleman one simple thing. He said, my good friend, it's between two things. Either you leave or the dog leaves. One or the other.
Yeah.
So it's either you get rid of the dog or you leave the country.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah.
So if you behave as a guest,
You get
we
treated
treat you
as a guest.
as a guest. And the other thing is this: we have legislation in place that protects Grenada against some of what people are saying could happen, and we can't replay and people come. Grenada is protected by certain legislation that has been put in place that Grenada cannot enter into any agreements and so on to have an unsustainable debt in place.
Of course.
That is the law.
Yeah.
That means people could actually find themselves in legal trouble, as in finding themselves before the court. If they breach that, the Minister of Finance could find himself before the courts if he breach it. And we know this Minister of Finance ain't going before no court because he ain't breaching it.
Yeah, and that law is really we should have give credence to whoever put that laws in place, because we cannot afford to mortgage our children's future. We can't.
Yes, indeed. And I'm trying to get in contact with the people for the boat, but they're having some outreach. So not everybody, you don't have to run down to the boat itself. The best way is to go to one of the venues, because they're in Grand Bra. Right now they're up in Grand Bra.
Grand Bra
So
and St. David's.
St. David Health Centers.
Yeah.
Right. So they're in Grand Bra and St. David Health Center, but they're going to be finishing at 4. So they're there from 8:30 this morning until 4. So in some instances, some of you might have to try and take a day off. It's not the government of Grenada that have it at that specific time. It is the time frame that the people from the boat have. So because I know some people go say, now, well, people finishing work for, how they going to go? So no, you may have to take some time off, because it's not that the Grenada government say that's the time. That is the time that the people are able to do that. So they put that time in place. So 8:30 to 4, that's where they are in Grand Bra and St. David Health Center today. Tomorrow, at the same time, 8:30 to 4, they're going to be in Guav and the Sauters Health Centers. And Friday and Saturday, and they're hopeful to do it on Sunday, from what Kevin was saying this morning. Yeah, they're going to be at the Youth Center. Yeah, Friday and Saturday from 8:30 until 4. Right? And plus a team would be going up to Carriacou. So the Chinese medical specialists will conduct outreach clinics during the afternoon tomorrow in Carriacou, and on Friday morning they'll be visiting Petit Martinique as well, while they continue in Carriacou at the Hillsborough Health Center, and also at the Princess Royal Hospital in Carriacou. Remember, if you're visiting directly, if you're going to the boat itself, you must carry photo identification, your NIS card, your voter's identification card, a passport. Must carry valid photo identification if you're going to the boat. All right? And also, if you're a licensed firearm holder, leave it home. If you're a illegal firearm holder, go, because there's going to be a good opportunity for the police to arrest you. So if you're a illegal firearm holder, please go. So the Royal Grenada Police Force, walk with it. So the Royal Grenada Police Force could deal with the situation properly. Nice?
They can handle it, you and him.
Yeah, we ain't telling you don't walk with it. If you have an illegal one, walk with it. Yeah.
You'll get caught.
Yeah, walk with it. So stupid, we'll tell them to walk with it. We want to catch you. Yeah. And no knives, no sharp objects at all. In fact, better you just walk with your identification. And if you have documents in relation to what particular issue it is you want to check out, walk with those documents. Anything else, leave it behind. All right? Anything else, leave it behind. Some people want to walk with big bag. Who want to walk with a jola and they go in. No, leave it behind. All right? So you're getting health care being offered here, and at a point in time when some people taking the stress break, is the point in time we are the boat is like God does do things in a kind of way. He just kind of balance off
God
thing.
working mysterious ways.
He just balance off thing in a kind of way. But KB, so yeah, that's what's going down there.
Yeah.
And I believe we have some meetings. The different constituencies, they're supposed to be having some meetings this evening. I'm just trying to pull it up here quickly. Oh, it was open already. We Lord Papa. Yeah, so tomorrow, not today, but tomorrow, South St. George, Honorable Nicholas Steele will be in Montu, he and his team. St. Andrew Southeast, they'll be in Telescope, and St. Mark, Honorable Clarice Modest, she'll be in Bonaire. But who could be calling us already there? But this person they want to wait. Okay, we taking the call. We ain't saying no.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, and how are you?
Not too bad. And how are you doing?
Well, not bad, you know. I'm just asking you, please. If you have your ID, you have to walk with your passport too?
No.
Just your
Any
ID.
form of ID.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you could walk with ID or you could walk with the passport.
All right, okay.
All right,
Okay.
Popo, you good? You good though?
Yeah.
No, I'm asking if you're okay.
Yeah, for the time being.
All right, my love.
All right, then. Have a good day, though.
Same to you, sweetheart.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm hoping that I send a message for him. So I'm hoping that he won't give me a call on air so that we could clarify one or two things on that. But yeah, and we send a special good morning to Miss Jacob. We hope that she get well soon.
And Campeche.
Yeah, both of them.
She's down.
Yeah,
Yes,
both of them down at the General Hospital. So
Miss
we
Jacob,
hoping,
good
Miss Jacob, both
morning.
Miss Jacob and Campeche are down at the General Hospital, and we hope that they get well soon. Yeah,
Very soon.
yeah. I ain't get a chance to see Miss Jacob here. I
Yeah,
pass and see
that's-
Campeche.
You know who is low to Dr. Nayak, Buxton Nayak?
Wow, I hadn't known.
He's very low, yeah.
Oh dear.
Dr. Buxton Nayak, you know,
Oh boy.
he's down bad.
Yeah. Well, man, such is life, huh?
So
Oh,
life so short.
Yes, indeed. Folks, yes, indeed. So we have KB in studio with us. And KB, man, the politics been going for the last... before we reach on the topical issue now, how you find the politics been going for the last few months, man? Since the March 13th victory?
Well, I'd say it's at a lull.
Mm-hmm.
Very quiet because, you know, the opposition cannot get the act together. And I think the government, the NNP, doing the right thing to consolidate, put structures in place, and I think they're doing a fine job. You know, these are tedious tasks, putting structures in place, you know, and bringing in new people, training them. And I think the party embarked on that, which is good because they need to organize, you know, from the polling division level right up. I think they're making good attempt because you cannot have a hollow organization. You need to put this structure in place. And I think Mr. Bola is trying, and those meeting you call, you know, mentioned there, that shows attempt is being made to put the structure in place. But the opposition side is still fishing for a leader. You know, the last name we heard that is being circulating is Mr. Antoine. I spoke to one of the former candidate, you know, yesterday, and they tell me, look,
Which Antoine?
Patrick, you know.
Ain't happening.
But the good thing with people who leave the NNP, when they leave, is only the pants and the shirt they're living with. They don't live in with nobody.
But I don't
So
know.
whatever.
I don't know Patrick Antoine has to have left the NNP.
Well, the point is that I'm thinking the NDC looking at him to lead them because they're fishing for leaders, you know.
Things so bad with them that to look for us to get somebody from
the
one our
point
side.
is that they have nobody, they haven't got that kind of resource, you know, within their organization.
But who told NDC Patrick Antoine leave NNP?
No, well, they are saying that they are shopping around it. One of the
they create a wish list.
one of them, what they told me, they approached about 5 different persons. They did approach Teddy St. Louis, turn them down. They tell me
Teddy ain't crazy.
They went to Ruggles Ferguson there. He too had no turn them down.
What about pot of food?
And I think, well, he is also in the running. Our brother, our past PR friend,
Kennedy Roberts.
Kennedy Roberts. But the name that resonating somewhat is Patrick. You know, I think they want somebody with that intellectual depth. You know, they go for that kind of, university grad. But whether Patrick could connect with the rank and file is a different story. In politics, you have to get people who like you, and you have to go down in the trenches and do the work. And I don't think he will be prepared to go down in the trenches and do the work. So they're still fishing.
So what about
But see, the thing is, I think they're dealing in hypothetical and not in practical. Because they're dealing with hypothetical in that they're dealing with if this person or that person has left the NNP. And I've been hearing they're calling some names there that I don't know that these people leave the NNP. I know these people may have gone on to do other things and so on, but I don't know them as having left the NNP.
One of the names they told me there was going after is Derek Sylvester. But Derek not interested in that. So even within their camp, they can't come up with a name. I think they will end up going back to Nazim.
Well, we know that's what we're doing.
They will have to go back to Nazim. I'll be uphill, downhill, and Nazim was correct to diffuse the situation, and he knows that they haven't got a resource. Well, there's no resourceful person that could really, stand up. So they will call him back. They have no choice.
That's what you wanted in the first place. And that's what I was
they will call him back.
Let me say this though. I've been hearing a rumor. I'll say it is a rumor. Hey, good morning to you, Hugh, and happy birthday to you, big bro. Yeah, I hope everything is going all well with you. I'll pass it down for some of that maniku and thing later because I know some pot going down by you today. Nice. Yeah. I've been hearing a rumor out there that the young man from Carriacou is intent on taking over the position of General Secretary when the time comes.
Well, I don't think it's a rumor, because he made a statement himself.
Well, I didn't hear him make it, so for me it's a rumor. You heard him make it?
I heard him make a statement, yeah.
What do you have to say about that? Move Glenn?
I don't think Glenn is, outlive his usefulness now in the political arena. The young guy in Carriacou, he was starring for a while, but I don't think he is in good grace with the old guard in the party. There is internal wrangling, and I don't think, if you don't get the blessing from the old guard, he will not move forward. They want to shine, but the old guard will not allow them to shine. They don't want nobody else emerge. The NDC is a funny organization. It's like an old boys club. And those what we call the veranda NDC, those who sit in the veranda and want to be kingmakers. These people wouldn't just roll over like that and just let new people come and take over to be the party.
We've been also hearing another rumor of attempts to discipline a certain section of the party for their actions recently. They kind of been doing their own thing.
Those same young people.
They bong away.
Well, look, I didn't even say who, and you hear it too.
I know,
so, I hear in that. I don't know how true it is. And that's the thing. If we know something for a fact, we say for a fact. So, I hear. I don't know for a fact. Devon heard the statement direct from the young man, so he know in that case.
Straight up.
But I am saying that, so I hear that there's a move on to discipline some youngsters.
A couple of young fellas.
That they kind of going out and do their own thing.
Well, that's when you have a leadership void.
They say these fellas, some of the supporters say that these fellas trying to keep the party afloat and alive because nobody hearing them. So they going around and trying to whip up support. But like the rank and file don't like that. So based on that, we hear that something might happen. That's only hearsay.
There might be another split in NDC again.
Oh God, well, how much times?
But listen, there's a Portugal, you only splitting, peg.
One thing a mandarin, one thing they haven't had this.
What I'm saying, it's so thin now, I don't wonder if they could afford to split.
It's a mandarin.
It's so thin. But again, it's that
you got to use a surgical knife.
It's a strange organization.
And October is their anniversary too, so what a way to celebrate an anniversary.
It's a kind of month, huh?
Yeah, it's a kind
Hurry
of
up
month.
and go. It's a kind of month.
Yeah, it's a month also. Also,
kind of enough for 2018, already for 2019, not enough for 2018.
It seems as though, Sheldon, we may not be fortunate to experience a NDC victory in our lifetime. With great grandchildren might have to bring the news in our grave for us.
And
it's
I think
so unfortunate.
That is one of the reasons, though. But we did hear the former political leader say that. We did hear him say, back in 2013, he told the women's arm of the party, he told them that whoever lose that election would be out of power for at least the next so much years. They would not win the election coming up after, and more than likely, the one after that. So he did tell them that is what would happen.
See, what is puzzling, they have a solid base of about 23,000 people. But is the attitude that bad, They have bad attitude. So that is what hindering the development and the growth of the party. Unless they change that attitude, they're going to come second all the time, and a second in election. I think God did punish the Israelites, so left them for over 40 years in the wilderness until that old generation passed away and new generation emerge with new attitude. Then they get liberated. So that will happen to the NDC. That old generation have to pass away because of the bad attitude until a new generation of NDC emerge with better attitude
and respect.
What would you say though to what seems to be a move by fringe parties, people that usually get bingo numbers, to merge into the NDC?
Yes, I think they realize.
Well, let me don't embarrass bingo by saying bingo numbers.
I just want to tell you that. Why you take you that?
You see what happened now?
Data entry numbers like 010101.
They have to look at what happened in Trinidad when NJAC had no choice. We had to merge and what you call the People's Alliance, and I think you're going to get Forrester and all these other guys merging with the NDC, and they have to they try now to gang the NNP because they realize they have no future. They all become political dinosaurs.
Because with the activity on the beach, you realize that you saw those fledgling parties and individuals. So you saw about representatives of 2 or 3 different organizations together with the NDC there. And you even saw people like you saw Jenny reappear on the beach.
Yes.
She reappeared on the beach.
She came to have a bath.
Reappear. I don't know if she was just passing on the
beach. Since after election, I haven't heard anything about Jenny.
Except that she got off the radio.
Yeah, that's good.
But it seems as though that has taken place. But also, you would realize that you've been seeing, and I don't know if that's part of the reason they want to discipline some of them, that you've been seeing some of the youth in their party also joining up with people from the other party, like the young Maitland guy. Been joining with him and on certain initiatives and so on. So I don't know if all of that is what has been causing the calls now to discipline. And so one other thing I'd like to comment on though, and I found it extremely strange, is that we had the CCJ debate taking place in the Senate, but strange enough the 2 NDC senators were not there. The 2 youngsters, I mean, an issue as this that has historic implications, that has a possibility of changing an aspect of the Constitution of Grenada, and you're just too busy doing other things. You can't but be bothered to go in the Senate that day.
When you see, we got a leadership void in the NDC, and no direction, so everybody doing their own thing, and they don't preparing themselves for people to perceive them as a government in waiting. And that is the problem. They have to behave as though they're preparing themselves for governing. And when they behave like that, by important national issue like that, you're not showing any interest, the public will write you off.
Isn't the NDC right now basically just a talk show?
Honestly, as a Democrat, I don't want NDC to be an armchair organization. I wish they...
I don't think they're armchair. I think they're just a talk show.
I want them to get involved in the process, and, articulate position, call out the NNP when they cross the line, and, call out anybody when they cross the line, and support the government when the government, do something, right. You have to be a responsible opposition, take part in the democratic process, but you have to balance. You can't be opposing everything and condemning everything. And when a guest come in the country to invest $1 million, you treat him with scant courtesy. You have to show respect for authority and the investors that come in as a guest.
It's gotten to the stage now that I believe that some of them going to be happy. And I think me and Devon had this conversation many times before. Some of them would be happy if they hear the investor call a press conference tomorrow and said,
"You going?
To hell with it, are going. Forget every cent I spend in Grenada, cut my losses and are gone."
Oh gosh.
I think some of them would be very proud of that. And my good friend Richard Peters, he did a piece recently in the Informer newspaper. I was very impressed by the piece, in which I think he offered a very balanced view of the entire situation. He said, yes, victory for the people, but he was calling on those who were thumping the chests and still making a set of noise. Well, what that for? you said that you have a victory. You claim that you have a victory. What's all the thumping your chest and beating up yourself for again? What you in other words, like you're looking for the man to go.
But not even that. The first, insult, to the investor is when he fences his place with a green wire. And they say, well, look, it's NNP, government spending money. And they go in parliament and say that they had to go and apologize. And you got me to associate the man with corruption.
But I was sitting in parliament when Ray said it.
Morning, Ray.
I was sitting in parliament when Ray said it. And then Senator, now the Honorable, because we know you'd be the Honorable anyway, but now then Senator, and now the Honorable Peter David went and got the bill and everything and brought it to Parliament until he had to I think Ray ended up having to withdraw the statement because it was totally untrue.
But that is not
but it's just the level of thinking to reach there.
How you could treat a guest like that who come in to spend millions of dollars in your economy? As Doc say, he could go anywhere else and spend his money. He chose Grenada.
Man, he's a multi-billionaire.
You're talking about 3-5-star hotel. You're going to insult the man and associate him with corruption when you haven't got the facts. You hear the talking rum shop, you're going in parliament with it. And then you have to apologize. You don't treat a guest like that. People come in and invest the money and take risk. Then you attack him again for some water. They say that will run. Where the water going to run? Now you behind him again. You say the wall too tall. You accuse him again for going too far on the beach and just harassing. You just don't want to see the project succeed under the NNP government. So if
that's the main thing.
If you have
the project was under the NDC, you wouldn't see any of them anyway.
What you say? If they had a fight with Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Mitchell could defend himself, but leave the investors alone.
And one of the most interesting things here is that the investor acknowledged that yes, an error was made. They acknowledged that an error was made. They fixed the error. Instead of saying, okay, we're glad that you're the type of investor that said we have made an error and didn't just decide now that I ain't fixing it, I'm leaving it just so. Yeah. If all you want to kick me out, well, I'll go in if all you make me break it. Which is an approach that some other investors have taken in other countries. All you can't tell me break. If I have to break that, I go in.
Okay.
I ain't losing that money, right? But the investor said, well, look, an error has been made. We apologize. Okay. They fixed the error. And that just doesn't seem to be good enough for some people.
You see, when someone apologizes, most time it's not for the wrong they have done, It's the respect for human being, respect for people when you apologize. Sometimes, most cases, not for the mistake you made. Because that shows that inspector have respect for Grenadian. He said, look, I made a mistake. And I think they don't show that kind of appreciation. And Devon, we're dealing with a kind of angry base, eh? So any little thing they get tripped off with anything. They just don't want to see no success under the government.
But watch, it's something I always say. If you charity begins at home, right? And if you don't respect your mother and father or the people that you live in your house with, you eat and drink with, if you don't respect them, how the hell would you respect persons coming from outside? I mean, that's just something for them to think about. You understand? Because when they disrespect their own, it will carry on to others. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Devon. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I just want to say a couple of things quickly. As it relates to the Silver Sun project and the incident that happened on the speech, I think honestly we should be fair.
Wow. Gone down.
I think you're using a Bluetooth to talk. Once you're using a Bluetooth, this is what happens. Leslie.
Les?
I know they realize the only thing I touch is the mouse. I didn't touch the board.
No.
Leslie.
Les?
Okay, he'll have to call back. Les, when you're calling back, do not use a headphone or Bluetooth. Use the phone directly. Because once you do that, that is what will happen. You'll break off and you wouldn't hear what it is you're saying. But meanwhile, we have another caller.
Yes, sir. Good day.
Good morning, my friend.
The NDC, they have to change the symbol, to get a seat or two in Grenada, you know. They can't run on that same ticket, NDC ticket again, you know. That barrier already. They had to change it. They had to change the symbol. Thank you.
All right, my friend.
That is up to them.
That's up to them. Their anniversary this around, they go decide on that.
Sheldon, you made a statement a while ago and said that if the investor pack up and decided living in the morning, they will jump for joy.
Carnival.
I want to remind you, when the Australian government withdraw that grant for the parliament, the NDC jump for joy.
Yeah.
They glorify you. They excited. Hey, look.
And they make all kinds of reasons.
How could you rejoice that the government, the people of Grenada, deny of funding for your parliament building? How you could rejoice?
I think that's so sad, and I think some people are looking at things from so much of a not even political standpoint, but a position of hatred. It's a capital H, hatred. It's a hatred for Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. It's a hatred for the New National Party, and they put that before patriotism. They put that before Grenada. Some of them even put it before the church. They put it before everything. So it's nothing for them to decide that, look, we're going to be happy if that investor pick up and decide that he's going. I mean, and look, there's so many things taking place and they wouldn't acknowledge it. Tomorrow morning, there's going to be the opening of that new port facility in Carriacou. A new port facility in Carriacou, in Harveyville, is going to be opened officially tomorrow. They wouldn't talk about that. They wouldn't talk about the Petit Calavini project that's going on there, that facility in Petit Calavini, or the marina in the Calavini area there. They wouldn't speak about those projects. They would attack that one investor. And you know the worst thing, KB? If you pass down there right now, you're seeing a set of youth in some t-shirts, because apparently they've started the training of the staff that will be staffing there, and they're still looking for some more staff. They're starting the training of their staff, whether it's the restaurant or wherever they start the training. And that is going on. And imagine at that same point in time, you have these people trying to get the investor to get vexed, to get him fed up. Because from day one, this gentleman had to be fighting. And you know what it reminds me of? Remember Peter de Savary?
Yeah. Yes.
And remember Peter de Savary was drawn before a group of people on a Sunday morning on CC6 television. They broadcast it via radio, all kind of thing. And you had it was friends of the earth, friends of this, friends of that, friends of friends, all kind of people came out.
Sandra and them.
Yes, everybody.
We was NDC them time, KB.
Yes, everybody came out. And they attacked they tell Mr. de Savary everything from when he doing piling out there, he go wake up a volcano, all sorts of things, who say that they want to still be able to swim there like they used to swim before. And I mean, come on, three of us here know it was a set of old iron and thing that was there.
Of course, I mean, we grew up. I grew up. I mean, around this place.
There was a dumpy. It used to look worse than Perseverance. At least Perseverance, they have the things on them out of view. The garbage that was there was in view. You used to see the old boat, the little bits from the old Grenada Yacht Club sticking out. You used to see the old iron, and so that was there. All these things and them were there. But I mean,
you just cannot have people with Stone Age mentality running country in modern times. You can't. You can't. So that most of them will leave it just so. That is how Papa God wanted. Leave everything just like that. You can't move forward. You have youths on your back for employment. You need leaders with vision.
But you see, this is a problem. Every time Grenada has to make a little step forward, it seems as though there's this squad that just doesn't want it to happen under the NNP government. Yeah. So you're building the cruise ship port, the same cruise ship port the hospital ship park up on now, that the first cruise ship for the year visited last week, and that you're having cruise ships coming on later this month and next month and so on. The same cruise ship port that has been rated as one of the best in the Caribbean. Yeah? The same cruise ship port. That's the same cruise ship port that when we was building it, people started saying, oh, the water going to hit there, and at the angle it go refract and it go hit over on Granans Beach and wash out all the sand on Granans Beach, go and it go just be rocks on Granans Beach. It's going to take Granans Beach and go with it. And it's the same group of people that attacked that project. It's the same group of people that attacked even when the stadium was being built. Why are you building a stadium now? When the hospital was being repaired, why are you doing that? Look what Keith Mitchell and them leave for holiday. Some metal structure. But they ain't coming and say, no, well, look what Dr. Mitchell and them do for all you. A brand new accident and emergency unit. They're not coming and say that.
When you commissioned this hospital?
I think the date was sometime in November. I think they were looking at. I'm not sure because I know the one issue now is installing the new equipment. Yeah, and then the minister also mentioned yesterday during the post-cabinet press conference 5 new ambulances on the way. Earlier this year we were hearing about 3.
Yeah.
Now and those came in. Now you're hearing about 5 more. That's the most ambulance I think we would ever have in history.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. So you have 5 more ambulances coming in again, outside of what came in earlier this year and what came in last year.
You remember when we usually had the problems with our police officers, the lack of transport
and so
right in one station. That is history, eh?
History.
That is history.
You don't see police transport break down on the road anymore.
Not at all. At all. You've seen 4 and 5 vehicles pack up in one police yard.
But must congratulate the police though.
Definitely.
I think they're taking very good care.
Very good care.
I long time I see one crash one.
What? They take it for something to happen to one had to be something real out of the way.
And the maintenance, man.
Yeah. Even the green vans and so that they have gotten. You're not seeing us at them park up down in SSU
no.
with the roof caving this, that, the other, and so.
Then they got good drivers too.
Yeah, and I think they've taken a special interest now in
they
how
take
to care
pride
for the
in
vehicle.
pride in carrying it and
It's to see all those
Of
guys
course,
that put on
man.
their camouflage and they jump in them thing like the Humvee.
it leave their status.
Yeah, man. And they move out, so put on dark shades and thing, and they move out and thing with the camo.
They feel proud.
But Kevin, with all of that, we have an issue that's very topical right now, where the Public Workers Union and some individuals are asking on the Prime Minister to apologize. Now, me and Devon asked yesterday, well, apologize for what? And we still haven't gotten an answer.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
Maurice Bishop said to me once, KB, when you're wrong, you get on your knees and you apologize. When you're right, you demand. What the Prime Minister was asking, he was demanding, who's stealing from the hospital should stop. Simple as that. And it's painful, very painful, that you have 16 block of cheese disappear from the storeroom. Sheldon, 16 block of cheese is a lot of cheese, because 1 block of cheese is over 16 pounds.
Yeah.
Next thing, I'm in Grenville and I hear somebody cheese selling in Willis. It's embarrassing and painful. The Prime Minister must get vexed and sometimes get emotional, because it don't matter the amount of money you put in health. It's like you go into a deep, dark hole. You can't see where you go. Next thing you hear, 6 case of chicken miss again in the kitchen. Next thing you hear, a walker barbecuing on the beach. It must affect you in Grenville. And I could tell you, you're giving the cooler 4 knock and it's spring open. How I know that? As a security told me. He went in St. George's in a barber shop. And the barber told him, hey, why don't you bring this big roll of toilet paper for me? Because I'm getting in the hospital. You understand? So what is happening now? Workers been using the storeroom as the food land, as the real value, as the carico. Understand? And so on. You just can't allow this been happening over the years. So what is significant?
We must say not all.
No, what is significant is that those same detractors admit, yes, they are still in hospital, but when the Prime Minister said he shouldn't say it, and how we say it, he shouldn't say it so. And I listened to the tape over and over, and the Prime Minister saying there is some people with a particular mindset. You understand? Some people with a particular mindset. It doesn't matter how much doctors you bring, how many nurses, how much money you put into it. This is because of bad management, this situation would not improve, because doctors doing it, nurses doing it, and he's correct. So why he have to apologize for what is right? If Dr. Mitchell was saying something that is untrue, I'll be forced to say, Doc, apologize, you cross the line. But what he's saying is what everybody know. Me and Devin was on a bus this morning, and a woman saying I go to make my child in the hospital, I have my juice, juice there. When she go for it, some nurse or something drink she juice. We on the bus this morning, they're complaining. When you have your thing, people steal it. No, you have the security in the hospital. The security is not allowed to search the workers, which is surprising. If you are security, you see someone get into the kitchen with an empty bag, and they come out with the bag full. You're supposed to call in pull that person in and search the bag. The security tell me no, they're not allowed to search these people. So these people have a free rein to go in with an empty bag and come out with it full. So they're using the hospital, stores, like they're doing shopping, like the Foodland, like the Real Value, the Calico.
That's where you want to get hotspot.
Hotspot. That's where they shop. No, you see, point is that how could someone steal from someone who lies sick on a bed? How you could eat their food? How you could take their bed sheet?
Is it a possibility it's another patient doing it? Let me be
it's embarrassing, it's painful.
But let me be devil's advocate. Could it be another patient that did that? That went and drink the person juice or thief the person bed sheet or so? No, I want to be devil's advocate.
It's so embarrassing. Yeah, and I think the Prime Minister right to make them shame. You see what happened? The Prime Minister right to shame them for them to stop thief. You understand? And I have no apology in supporting the Prime Minister and calling on them to stop doing it. Is too embarrassing. How you could thief from sick people, from dead people, the cheeses for the sick people. How you could end up in Willis? You sell it in Willis.
But you know which part it end up on?
Okay, I'm going to tell the police and ask a question, boy.
But 16 black and cheese is a lot of cheese. Rat could eat a lot of cheese?
No,
Devon, tell me, how much cheese rat could eat?
You don't have all that rat ingredient to eat that cheese. So.
We do have rat in the hospital.
Yeah,
let me just make sure.
What's about cat?
You used to have cat before.
You used to have big cats and things. You used to have tigers, not cats.
It used to have all kind of mountain lion and thing up there. But since we rebuilt them thing gone. So.
Yeah.
See how them cat up there.
I think definitely some. For instance, as to why they don't have the workers put a bag in a special room in a locker, and when on the way out, they collect the bag and go home. Why is it they have to go into the storeroom with their bag on their back? Why is it they have to go into the kitchen with their bag and go in with it empty and come out full? Some of them, I won't say all, but some of them, the security told me they seen it with their eye. And they reported it to management because I said, look, how you all seeing this thing? You don't report it to your boss? Yes, we report it to our boss. Yes, we report it to the hospital authority. Nothing is being done. Them tell me for them to search a worker, they must get permission from the permanent secretary, to search the worker. I said, that's crazy. When you are security, how you have to get permission from the permanent secretary to search the worker? Mm-hmm. You give them a free rein. How you could? This thing is so painful, as a patriot. Something have to be done.
And the other thing is that it's not the first time that we've heard the Prime Minister speak about pilfering within the public service. It's not the first time, because you've had situations that other ministries, he's spoken about the Ministry of Works and what was taking place in the bushing program. That was spoken about and dealt with last year. You've had other departments, and so that the Prime Minister is not the first. He's spoken about marketing board up to just last month. He's spoken about marketing board.
What do you think Dr. Mitchell moved to give contracts instead of continue public works? Every time you put out a gang, you have to get new spade, new wheelbarrow, new fork, and so on. Now you give those contractors protecting their tools. But when was government tools? All disappearing. You have to keep buying all the time. I make prison. I was in prison. I lock up and sell those prison officers eating before meal. They eating before us. And that is part of the culture. It's a culture we have to get rid of. Dave, imagine that, they're getting paid to look after us, but they eating before us.
That's Judy Rapoman.
They're getting special bread before us.
Look, we have a situation now at the TMR Show Community College. 27 laptops stolen.
Oh,
the person then said that they take in one laptop, which is still wrong.
Yeah.
27 disappear from the IT department of the T.A. Marshall Community College. They arrested and charged one individual. I know they couldn't get bail. I don't know if they get bail between yesterday and today. So they were up at Richmond Hill. And the entire IT staff suspended. So it's not that it is only taking place at the hospital and the Prime Minister is speaking about what is taking, because it's not like he lied. So I'm trying to figure out what is he apologizing for? Did he tell a lie? Did he lie on somebody?
No.
I mean, I'm hearing the junior doctors are saying, well, he accused them. It's not the chicken he accused the doctors are, but even if you're stealing time, you're stealing.
You're
Of
stealing
course.
time.
Even if you decide now that you see a case of gauze and you say, give me half of that gauze and thing, and you take it into your private practice,
That's stealing.
that is stealing.
You see when
Some people see these things as fringe benefits.
yeah, you see
I'm telling you.
Come on,
I
Sheldon.
mentioned yesterday, I walked into Ambrose Phillip office when he was manager of the Port Authority, and he had a sign inside there. He say, stealing is not a fringe benefit, it's a crime.
Of course.
He had a sign similar to that. Anybody
Yeah.
that went into Ambrose office could
Yeah.
tell you that he had that inside there. And many people see these things as fringe benefits.
You see, when management fail us, they fail to perform with us with distinction, and 20,000 people refuse to vote. Why they don't vote? But when we in authority and we betray the trust of the young people, that is the result. They go say, look, me I meddle with that system. I want part of the system. They're rebelling against the system. But we in authority had to perform with distinction and be role models. What going in the hospital is good example to the young people in this country. When you're eating the patient cheese, you're selling the patient cheese, you're going with the bed sheet, you're going and shop as though you're going in Foodland, as though you're going in Calico.
And again, let me make the point clear that we are not speaking about everybody at any of these facilities. There are the minuscule few that does make everybody look bad.
Of course.
It's the one or two that doing these things does make everybody look bad, because what has been happening is sometimes people see some of them come down in their little gown and that kind of thing, or the nurse uniform, and some of us want to throw talk at them and call them thief and things. Don't do it.
No.
Don't do that.
No, don't paint everybody with a broad brush.
Don't do that.
Because the PM did not paint everybody with a broad brush.
Exactly. Never did it.
Never did it.
And therefore, anybody that is dealing with the issue should not do that. Don't look at them nurse and them when they passing in tongue and play train work at them. Especially after some of them just come off at 12 hours.
Yeah.
Or was in there since, what today is? Today's Wednesday. Some of them might have been there since
Tuesday,
Monday.
Yeah, Tuesday, yeah.
They might have been there since Monday, and they end up having to stay over because another nurse might have been ill and they had to stay over yesterday and they're just coming out today. So don't go and be attacking these people, telling them, or verbally attacking them, telling them things and so on. No. But know that those who are guilty, make no apology.
No.
No apology to them.
The PM right to shame them.
No apology. They had to stop.
They have to stop. Yeah,
They had to stop, because you know what's happening there, KB? When you go now and let's say you spend $50,000, and after you spend $50,000, $15,000 worth of that disappear. I'm just using a hypothetical figure. I'm not saying this is the figure, but $15,000 disappear. Now that means that's $15,000 that you have to find to replace that.
Of course, yes.
And that $15,000 now could have been used because the Prime Minister is the one that sit in his office there, and the lady who is 63 or 75 comes to him and say, Mr. Prime Minister, look, the pole under the house shaking, and the step mash up, and the roof leaking.
Yeah.
And we have to get can I get some material to help me, please? He can't watch this old lady and tell her no.
No.
The mother that has the 3 or 4 children and the father them don't even look back.
I know.
And she comes to him and she say, I have no place to live. Look, the man that I staying with, he beating the living daylights out of me. I need to get out of the situation. And he tries to help, or one of the ministers try to help. They can't look at this person and tell them, well, there's nothing I can do for you. But if you could save that $15,000, you could do it faster.
Of course, yes.
You could do it more effectively and more long-term and lasting. So we have to put an end to this sort of behavior throughout the public service.
Yeah,
And
especially
throughout the statutory bodies as well, and even in the private sector.
Yeah, I think they have to give the security in the hospital permission to search people bags. You can't, I mean, you somebody with a suspicious bag, walking out, and you can't search it because you have to get permission from the permanent secretary to search them. This is what you have security for? What you have security for? And not the government, the authority should have a special room, lockers for these people to put their bags. When they go, as they enter, they put their bag there. When they go in, they pick their bag up and go. Don't allow them to get into the storeroom with their bag. Don't allow them to get in the kitchen with their bags, because you can't search the bags.
But, Kevin, what would you say, though, to a view that some share, that if statements like what the Prime Minister has made, which is a truthful statement made to Grenadians who are the ones that are also giving back to Grenada, because when you look at the barrels and the containers and so coming down, even somebody sending a container for themselves, and when they're sending the container for themselves, they still decide, okay, let me put X amount, I think, for the general hospital inside it. Let me put some wheelchair, let me put some walkers, let me put some crutches, let me put some bed sheets and pillowcase and different things. They put that in the container when they're sending down. And when they come down, they clear the container, they take it and they make a presentation to the general hospital. Should not the Prime Minister, as the person who is in charge of finances and the Prime Minister of this country, have the right and responsibility to speak to these people and say to them, this is what's going on?
Yeah, and at least we'll put system in place to curb, that kind of delinquent. But Sheldon, no matter what you do, not all thief you could hold, Not all thief you could hold. Some of them will always able to be the system. Not all thief you could hold.
But one of the things I'm very much concerned about, and I continue raising that, the whole issue of, you're talking about stealing. Some workers within the public sector, the private sector, right, who dishonestly, in my view, accept money for work not done. And I say that, for example, you go into certain places, business places in the public sector, ministerial complex, and persons who supposed to be giving government or the people of Grenada 7 and 8 hours work, only doing 2 and 3 hours work, and they collecting pay for 8 hours. That is dishonest. That is stealing also. Right, that is a drain on the economy, and so. But we tend to put a blind eye on that and figure it's okay. That's resources going down the drain. It is not different to what is going on within the health sector or anything like that. It all boils down to stealing, and the government is drained because of that. We need to stop that.
It's a mindset that we need to eliminate. It's a mindset, and we're not just talking about in a public service with people who see it as a fringe benefit, but throughout Grenada. We need one businessman, one person who manages a business here, a major business here in Grenada, told me over the weekend that they would have written off $50,000. $50,000 they had to write off that came through staff pilfering. $50,000. So the place where they were working, they were removing certain items and going home with it and that sort of thing. And the company, and I'm being careful here because I don't want to sell out the company, the company had to come back now and replace those items. Meanwhile, the items was ending up in staff house. And that's in a private sector company. $50,000. And if that's the private sector, you could imagine what's going on in the public sector. Because it might be the person that decide that they're taking a 2 reamer paper, the packet of paper, to go home because the school say that they need a reamer paper for the child. So they just say, oh, get one of that and work, and they take it and go, not realizing that in itself is what, $20 how much that you take from. And if everybody in the service decide to take in one and go, that is what happened. Or somebody see some ink coming for a printer and say, hey, I had that same kind of printer home, and they take one of the ink and they go home with it. It is what happens.
When you bust the company, you're out of a job, you know.
And that is what has been happening. So I think the Prime Minister would be the one that sees what is going on, hears what is going on and that sort of thing, and he has to address it.
I think was really upset.
He has to address it.
He's human because they come into him for the money, you know.
Well, he had to find the
money to put in health.
That's the thing.
He have to find the money. You can't say.
Is he the little old ladies and them going and crying in front? It is Minister Steele, it's Keita, they go in
Yeah.
and cry in front when the rain fall and it wet them. It's them they go in and cry in front and say, look, I need the help. And they're serious. It's not like they're asking for things they don't need. As we just say, they ain't bad begging.
No.
They're asking for something that they truly not want, but need.
What you
Is the man
yeah.
that watching and see that, boy, I really can't send them children to school and I ain't working how long? I'm not well, damage their back or something, I'm not well. I can't send them children to school. I need the help. So when you're seeing situations like that you know desperately need assistance, and then there are means that money has been lost that could be going into programs that help these people, you must upset.
Of course, he's human, and they're going to him. They're going to him. They're going to him.
27 laptops disappear from
Yeah,
Not
out
even
of
that.
laptops.
But
Yeah, I mean,
the
that's
fun is
madness.
where you stealing from? Schools and
Can
hospital.
you imagine that?
Schools and hospital.
How can we support
You
that?
go steal from sick people.
But KB, we know there are certain schools, there are people that not going to school and they just go and get a lunch every day from the school feeding program.
Well, we have people who don't have nothing to do with the staff in the hospital and they get in the lunch there. It's happening. That's my son was at security in the hospital. You know, I would know. Nothing that for instance, let me get a story. When I hear those things, I call in Messi. Messi is the one who have the contract in the hospital for security. I say, Messi, are hearing certain things. How come your security not searching the people? He said, KB, we don't have the authority to search them. I said, tell me, your security see people going with bag and they can't open the bag? He said, no, they tell him you have to get permission from the permanent secretary to search the bag. I said, Messi, what going on? I said, no, call on the Prime Minister, you have to change that rule or whatever it is. You have to be able to, well, what do you sweep in security? He said, been complaining all the time. Yes, they've been complaining all the time to the authority. We're seeing people going with things and we untie. I said, that's crazy, miss. That's crazy, man.
But again, see people say they're taking stress break, and I mean it's within the law. If you need to take your stress break, you take your stress break, and so as long as in taking your stress break you don't cause the death or maiming of another human being, I could understand that. But you know, an interesting point that the minister made yesterday, he has been the brunt of some serious nasty attacks from some of them by the same people who taking stress break right now.
Who is that, Mr. Steele?
Minister Steele.
Yeah, and he was very diplomatic.
And he never take a stress break.
No.
You never hear that the minister decide, I'm taking a stress break because so and so has said something about me, or they say this and that about me. I never see him take a stress break yet. He always at work.
I listen to his...
Always at work.
No,
whether locally, regionally, or internationally, he always at work.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, right, that they decide to go to doctors and nurses, some of them, who decide to go on that stress break. Now, within that time, something serious happens to a patient, which you supposed to be attending to or doing something, right? Something serious and can cause, God forbid, death or whatever. I mean, in your good conscience, man, how will you settle with that? Right? Think about it.
Conscience.
Think about it. I mean, watch. They say words are
Words are win.
words are win. I mean, and they always say that, words are win.
Yes.
But the truth, if you are not involved in something, why take offense for it? Why buy somebody else's fight? You understand? Why jump into something that doesn't concern you?
But you see, the thing is, and the Prime Minister pointed out different categories and so. And it's not like he pointed out to say that doctors go in the kitchen and take a set of chicken and go home with it.
Exactly.
But he's saying that there are doctors who all of us know. And nobody could say that a line. 4407377, tell me a line.
Tell us
Give them the
the
overseas
line.
number. Give them the overseas number.
347-329-3101. Call us.
There are
Tell us that we
doctors
lie.
that we know that are supposed to be at a general hospital or a medical facility, one of the outer parishes or so, at a particular time and never show up.
Never show up.
But they paid for it, innit?
Get
They
it
never
paid.
show up. The people go there and they sit in the clinic and they waiting.
Doctor don't come
only
today.
to hear doctor ain't come
Doctor
today.
ain't come today.
The nurses there,
The nurses there
So
waiting.
let me pick up the nurses. The nurses there.
The nurses
Yeah.
there.
One thing, them nurses and them just be there.
Yeah.
So the nurses there, but the doctor ain't coming
come
today. Sometimes people with the urgent issues, they come there to deal with them. Doctor ain't come today. or you tell a doctor you have to go and work in Maribor,
Okay.
and decide he have a business in town, he ain't going.
Or
So
he-
when you go up to Maribor now, the doctor ain't showing up.
Or you taking a limited amount today?
Yeah.
Could they only
That's
take
right.
But
10?
show your face and he disappear.
They say I could only take 10 patients, 10,
Yeah,
um,
only 10 today.
I could only see 10 people
10,
today.
10 today.
Now,
Imagine
for the
that.
ones that are not doing that, you don't have to feel offended when we say that.
No.
Because we're not talking about you. We're not talking about, or nor are we talking to you.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the ones who are guilty of that same thing.
Exactly.
The ones who you go to their private practice and they tell you you need to do surgery A or surgery B. And you have to pay them X thousands of dollars, because it doesn't be 100, X thousands of dollars. And then you have to go to the general hospital and you do the surgery at the general hospital using government equipment, government anesthetic, government medication,
Government
time, government equipment, government staff. Everything is being used. And then you staying to recuperate at the government facility, and privately you have to pay the doctor. That's all right.
What government getting?
And government ain't even getting nothing off of that.
That's a culture we just have to
It
get rid
doesn't.
of.
It's. I mean, yes, we have to save lives, and if surgery has to be done, it has to be done. But in the same context, and nobody is saying that that definitely cannot take place, but it cannot take place in that manner.
Not in that manner.
There must be some significant payment going back towards the government of Grenada.
And watch.
But you know, some people, they even want to give a look at $200 or
Not-
nothing back to the
nothing,
government of Grenada when that is
nothing.
taking place.
Yeah. And I know,
And it's
Right.
happening.
I know for a fact it's happening that there are orderlies within the general hospital who's supposed to be working on weekends and not even showing up for no reason, 2 and 3 days for the week, and so you work in 2 hours and 3 hours. It affects the operations of the hospital. Imagine on a weekend when a doctor and the nurses are there, right? And the orderlies who supposed to be there do not show up for no other reason. What happens? You have to take other staff from other departments, and so that creates a problem. We need to do better than that. Good morning and welcome.
Morning. Listen, my laptop playing in the background there. You're getting a feedback?
No, we're not.
No, we're
All
not.
right. I just heard Mr. Scott say that doctors are doing surgery and so private surgery and so in the hospital. Shouldn't the doctors then be paying some sort of rent for each surgery that they do, each procedure that they do?
You'd be very
I
surprised.
thought that was happening.
You'd be very surprised.
I didn't hear what you said.
You'll be very, very surprised.
No, well, the Ministry of Health needs to start charging them. We're not saying to overload them with charges, but they should be paying something for the use of the facilities and the equipment and the medication and whatnot. That's only fair. And that's why our health system would not go forward, because no money is coming in.
Exactly.
All right.
All right. And you know, as one of the things that eventually even the minister said that there comes a time when we would have to charge for particular services within the hospital, right? There comes a time we have to do it, and so it's done all over the world, right? And so we have to be prepared as a people to start paying for particular services within our general hospital,
Especially
right?
when
Things
you
that
want-
we do not pay for right now.
Especially when we want quality service.
Exactly.
Indeed. A 440-7377. That's a 440-7377. And those of
And
you online, remember to
34.
share the video. Eh?
Yeah, 347-329-3101. Give us a call.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, one of the ways to deal with it now is that
We go ahead for
Yeah.
the security conduct searches.
And it must be organized in such a way that it
you
will
don't
not
humiliate
offend.
anybody,
Exactly,
you know.
And
You don't
it can be
humiliate
done.
anybody, make them feel uncomfortable, but they have to go through this process,
Yeah.
you know.
Even if they're not allowed to search them or to physically thing them,
Search the bag.
well, not only that, if you the suspect and you have the facts and so, call the police in.
Minimize
Because
it, minimize
if
it.
if you're looking at this combined with some of what has been taking place in some of the other ministries, you could be actually speaking a couple $1 million a year.
Of course.
yeah.
Definitely, because if you're talking about one instance, and KB does say it, no me, 16 block of cheese.
That's a lot of cheese.
16 blocks in one instance.
No, over a period.
And a
Over a
trucker
period
to
of
go
time.
with
Not,
that.
not a couple, maybe a couple of
Yeah.
weeks.
And what kind of cheese you talking about? Them
Those
16?
big
Them
blocks,
blocks of
those big,
cheese.
weighing over 16 pounds.
Selling up in Willis?
Well, it's in Grenville, and I know he's selling, somebody selling release.
I'll go
I
up in
could
Willis.
tell you,
Get cheap cheese.
I
in
could
Willis.
tell you how much knock you could give the cooler for it to open, 4. You hitting it 4 times and it spring open. While they lock it with the keys, and the workers know how to open it. 4 knock,
And it
it open,
Santa
and
Claus.
cheese disappear over a period of time.
So is that people barbecuing chicken and
What you mean? What? Listen, $6 a chicken is a lot of chicken. You know, you can't put that on your head and go with it. You know. It's a lot of chicken. When Prime Minister said they take the chicken, Prime Minister no, they take the chicken. But I don't know if the Prime Minister know about the cheese. What I know about the cheese, you know, it's
Oh, that was always for me in some kind of
16
situation.
black and cheese is a lot of cheese. I know rat can eat all that cheese.
Oh.
Cat cannot eat all that cheese. 16 block is a lot.
But why is it that when these sort of things come up, instead of the union find itself calling on its membership to cease and desist, although that is not proper terminology to use, but cease and desist from such actions and so on, instead you attack the man who talking about it?
Yeah. Because they have the guts and the belly to tell the workers to stop doing it.
Oh, yeah, but
You
outside the
know,
legislative
some of them who claim to be leaders, yeah, you know that stealing is going on within the sector. You know that. Government don't have to report that to you. You have the facts. And so, but you're afraid to tell your workers, stop stealing.
But who you
Come
steal,
on.
Who you steal from? You know,
You're stealing from your own self?
Sick people.
But they're stealing from their own self in reality.
People on the hospital bed, you're stealing from you.
I know
You're
this-
drinking the juice, you're stealing the cheese, you're taking the egg, you're taking everything.
we have a call on that.
Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, my dear.
Your live caller, go right. I just load the volume of the radio in the background, please.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to get off. All right. Sorry about that.
Yes, go right.
Sheldon,
Yes,
could you
dear.
give me a little feedback on what is going on with that boat tomorrow?
The boat tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
I was actually trying to get the gentleman to call in, but it seems as his head's so hot he isn't calling.
Okay.
But what you can get is a referral according to which area you're living in.
Mm-hmm.
They can refer you to the boat instead of having to go and stand up and wait to get onto the boat. I think they're starting tomorrow for everybody to go. Yeah.
Well,
so, but
I got a referral letter from the hospital, right?
okay.
And I was in the hospital trying to make some inquiries. And it seems as though they even have info in the hospital themselves.
Okay. Let me tell you then. If you've got a referral letter to the boat from the hospital, then you will not be entering where everybody else is entering. Everybody else is going to be entering by where the Discovery train does come out there. That's between Republic Bank and the mall there. That's where everybody else is going to be entering from. But with the referral letter, you're entering from in the back of a riser.
Okay.
Right? So you're entering from in the back there. You show them the referral letter.
Okay.
And you will be entering from that end. All right?
Okay. What time are we talking about?
It's always good to go early to thing, I go in early and wait. Me, Papa, I don't take in chance on going thing late. But
All right.
remember the following, Don't bring your gun. Leave your gun home.
Oh, I have.
No, I still telling you because I wouldn't know. So leave your gun home unless it's an illegal one. Walk with it.
Nice.
Leave your knife, razor blade, nail file, all them kind of thing. Any sharp objects, leave it home. Do not walk with any big bag.
Okay.
Yeah, just walk with what is necessary. No big water bottle and that sort of thing. They may not let you onto the boat with it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like if you're going through the airport and so on.
Okay.
Know that you will have to go through about 2 or 3 security screenings before you get onto the boat as well, and walk with ID. Some form of picture ID, a driver's license, NIS card, your voter identification card, or your passport. Any type of valid ID. So you walk with that.
Okay.
And the final thing to walk with is a good attitude.
A good
attitude.
Oh yes, for that.
Yeah, make sure and walk with that too.
That's nice.
All right.
All right,
And pertaining to the comments that you all were making there about the doctors doing the surgery, I personally went and do a DNC in the hospital through a private doctor. I was charged $600 to do that DNC, and I had to pay the hospital $75 to get to go to the theater. Now, after I did the DNC, the sister of the doctor called me, costing $4,600. And I always have this concern about doctors just using our facilities, and the government is getting minimal amount, which was $75 at that time, and I had to go and pay $600 in her private office. And I mean, yesterday we went in the lab, go to do blood tests, and the people were there just on go slow. When you have to, you go to ask them for your to get the price to go and pay. They just tell you take a number. One of the ladies, I shouldn't say they, one of the ladies, she would say take a number and go and sit down. You're sitting there for over an hour and they would not give you the price. Sometime yesterday we had to see a passerby and go on the side and ask them to give us a number. And I'm trying to understand what is really happening. Because if the PM talk about something that is happening, why is it that everybody had to suffer for it? And it's not to say he's lying. And there was an elderly lady there yesterday. I felt so sorry for that lady because the lady said she had to do a fasting blood test. And after 12, that lady was there. And she couldn't get to her blood test done. So, I think people maybe we need to have a more positive attitude in Grenada about the way we handle things. And we have to realize that all of us are paying through taxes and whatever. We are paying these people to serve. And yesterday when I saw the doctors and the nurses standing there, I'm wondering if all this time that they are wasting, in my opinion, is wasting, if that would be deducted from their salaries.
That's a good question.
You understand? Because we went in the clinic there yesterday too. There isn't much space within the area there whereby patients could sit. You have to stand. There are times you have to go all the back by the kitchen. When they call out the names, the numbers, the people in the back, they cannot hear. Yesterday the nurse got so upset. She didn't want nobody standing by the corridor. And, well, they have a sign they don't stand in the corridor. But normally what it does, they would allow people to stand on one side and leave the other side empty. And that nurse carried on so much yesterday, and I had to ask her, where are we going to stand up? You're complaining when we're in the back, we're not answering, responding to our number, and the reason why they're not responding is because you cannot hear, because they do not have a PA system. So I asked her where we should go and stand up, and she was like, I don't care. I said, well, if you don't care, well, I'm not moving. So she told the other young lady to go for the security. When the security came, I heard the security was asking, well, where are the people in the corridor? Look, the corridor empty. Because people try to do it as orderly as possible. You know, and this kind of attitude, I don't know what's going on with our people. Recently, I had a patient in the hospital, and, well, it's young people. They gave, I gave one of the ladies on the ward an apple to give a young lady. By the time I reached home, the young lady called, and she asked, where is her apple? I told my daughter to tell her, look, look at who I gave the apple. The staff eat the girl apple, she never give it to the patient. I met her last week and I asked her, say, what you did with the apple? She told me she didn't see the person. They went in the washroom. I said, but you're sitting on the desk. So even though she went in the washroom, you would have seen her passing. So why didn't you give her the apple? You know, and all these things and them, I mean, it's not only in the hospital. I mean, I know also that patients normally steal patients' stuff too. But in terms of the security and so, I think that they should give the security officers more privileges. So they should be able to search, and maybe we should try to get some cameras and set it up in the hospital in those areas. So if the securities can search the staff, then they'll be able to pick up things on the camera. But I know for Grenada to move forward, we have to change our attitude. Even in the agro-processing sector, all sectors in Grenada, we have to change our attitude to be able to move forward. Because we have a beautiful country, and I think we could do a lot better than we are doing now. Thank you.
Well said.
You are so right.
Thank you.
Well.
You
It's
see,
an intelligent caller.
one of the problems I think that these people who are guilty of this do not realize is that they're jumping up and they're saying the Prime Minister should apologize. But they're speaking to the population that they're doing these things to.
That's the problem, you know.
That's what they're speaking to,
Yeah,
you know.
they ain't
They're
doing that to the
speaking
Prime Minister,
to
you
the
know.
population that they are doing
That
these
is
things
affected.
to.
That's affected.
The person who would go to the hospital and have an issue, the same person that they may mistreat, the same person who may go and lose an item, and I'm still saying it could be patient, it could be whoever, I'm still leaving it up. But at the end of the day, you're speaking to the same population that these things are being done to.
How could a staff could reduce themselves to that such a low level to eat the young lady apple?
I mean, come on, man. I mean,
You bring the apple for your patient, man, for your sick family.
But-
The staff eat the apple.
but Kebi, and this thing goes throughout the public service.
Yeah,
I mean, look,
yeah.
now it's 11:40. Try calling certain ministries right now.
And you'll see lunch
Try
break.
calling certain ministries right now, and you're not going to be, the phone will not be answered.
Lunch break already.
Because, yeah, they're gone. Some of them, they pile into a vehicle and they're gone to look for KFC.
Lack of
Or
responsibility.
they're gone and they're buying lunch, and sometimes they have to buy 3-4 sets of lunch and they're gone
What caused that?
looking for different fringe benefits.
Lack of responsibility and respect.
But it's what happens within the public service. Do you know that within certain ministries right now, they do not put tissue paper inside the toilet?
They're going with it?
Well, of course they're going with it. They don't put toilet paper inside there. If you as a member of the public go to the ministerial complex and you go to certain bathrooms, there is no toilet paper inside there for you to use.
Because the people
You have to walk with your own.
they still in
Or
it.
you have to ask a staff member to give you some.
Why?
Because what they would do, even if they buy the toilet paper, they would give the individual staff members would come and say they need a roll, and they give you a roll for how long or so, and you have that in your desk, right? But they will not take it and put it in the toilet because it was disappearing.
That happens all around. Look, I was working in the Ministry of Tourism
So embarrassing.
for a number of years, and so and the same thing, things like toilet paper, certain stores, and so you will get stores and everything like that, and workers will just, especially toilet paper, put it in the toilet and so on. They'll go with it.
I don't like people
Disinfect, go with it.
You
I
see,
mean, these-
Devon, what I don't like people saying, this is part of our culture. I don't like the
Fringe
idea at all.
benefits.
Yeah.
It should not be part of our culture.
we have
Honestly,
to cut that out. We have to
that is
cut that
one
out.
bad culture we adapt, we cultivate.
If
You
you
know?
pull a budget document and you see the amount of money that government spends on toiletries and other things like that for individual ministries, and so you'd realize the size of the problem. You'd realize the size of the problem. It was even bigger than that until they started the process and not putting any toilet paper and certain things inside the bathrooms.
So what kind of structure you think we should put in place to curb those kind of...
Listen,
you
even,
know,
no matter
delinquent-
what structure you put, this is the same thing you said earlier. You could never catch all thief. You could never catch all.
You could minimize the damage,
You
know,
could
by
minimize.
putting
You could
certain
reduce it.
structures and so in
But
place.
until we start changing that
Yeah,
mindset,
that mindset. Was,
Yeah, the mindset. the
until we
PM
start changing that mindset,
yeah.
if we don't change that mindset, we're going to continue having that problem.
What? You know what I hear a worker, and I'll be blunt about it. While working in Grant, you know what I hear a worker say one time? That the money that she collects, right, that she collects as little tips and whatever, is what she just go and travel with and everything every summertime, you know. And I mean, I want to be, blunt about it. There are certain persons, when I was working within the tourism sector, there are certain persons who supposed to be collecting government finances, right? Booth attendants and everything like that. And they was basically stealing government money. And I have facts about that. You understand? I mean,
The same thing they wanted to accuse you
and the
of.
same thing they want to accuse me of because I decide to break the neck of it. And I have no fear in saying it. I could say it anyway and in front of anybody. There were workers who were deliberately doing it. Right? For example, the tourists and so would come. They will pay, right, at the booth, $2 and so. But yet for all, you have a worker in the toilet still collecting $1 from every tourist that goes to use the washroom. And that is not right. You understand? You try to break that and use a worse person and everything like that. These are the kind of mindset that we have to get rid of.
And
And
the
so,
Prime Minister was correct in saying some
Yes,
people,
some
people
of them.
Because many have the correct mindset. There are
Of
doctors
course, they have
that
gr-
if they
correct
don't make
mindset.
it, there are many doctors if they don't make it to the hospital, it's because
Yeah.
they have an emergency.
Emergency.
They really can't make it. But there are some that habitually not there on time. Every week, if
Exactly.
you check, you realize if they're supposed to be day 5, they're day 3, they're day 2.
Exactly.
They're just
Stealing,
never there. Or they're not
yeah.
there on time.
Yeah.
You have a situation where people are going to the outpatient clinic. You are told to come early, so you reach there before 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're coming out the dark night? Is that correct? Dark night?
Nice.
After reaching there before 7 in the morning? And the people, they cannot say I'm lying because I'm speaking to the population who going through this.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to the population who going through this every day. Yes, we have very hard-working doctors, very hard-working nurses, very efficient and hard-working food servers and security and porters, wardens,
everybody,
everything.
yeah.
At the St. George General Hospital, Princess Alice Hospital, Princess Royal Hospital, the Mount Gay Health Facility, the homes, all of these facilities. We have very hard-working, competent and capable staff, even deserving a little salary hike and thing
Yeah.
when the time allows.
Yeah.
Wish we could pay more, but
Yeah.
we can't at the point in time. Yeah, restrictions on certain things. But we understand that. We have hard-working, but there are a few that spoiling the name of all.
Yeah.
Would I say one rotten mango spoil the whole basket?
Well, it's
We
true.
are apple long here, only sugar apple we have.
But look at the potato.
And when that sugar apple rotten anything there, it doesn't really affect the others that much. So you
Look
go say
at,
one rotten mango.
look at the Irish potato. Leave one rotten Irish potato in a bag and see what will happen.
All spoiled.
Exactly. I've just got a message from one of our friends here. They're saying the Prime Minister is correct to say what he said. He has the authority to inform those who have entrusted the responsibility on his shoulders. How come the adage of the public's right to know doesn't apply to the PM?
Okay.
The hullabaloo is pure hypocrisy. He is the custodian of the democracy where the public must always be duly informed.
Of course. Correct. Well said.
Now we doing that, everybody, you're vexing. There's some of you vexing and taking issue with it. You understand?
They always
it has
are-
to be done.
They always accuse him for covering up. Now he decided to covering up everything on the board, from marketing board right through. Investigate. Do the right thing.
No, he's a worse person. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, sir. How you
How you
doing?
doing, sir?
Bishop.
Welcome, Bishop.
How things, man?
Good man, good man.
Yes.
Bishop or
I haven't called in a
Archbishop?
while, man.
Let me don't be disrespectful. Bishop or Archbishop?
Bishop.
Bishop, right.
right.
Yes.
Good.
How things, man?
Oh, we there. We there.
I'm just calling, I should say blindly, because I'm not close to a radio. So I'm just, I just saw that well I can call. Let me call, man.
You see, they say you're calling blindly, yeah? But the thing is not what you're watching, is listening. You have to listen. So you're calling deafly. You're calling deafly, not blindly.
People say so.
Yeah, man.
People say so. I call it definitely because I'm not hearing.
Yeah, you're not hearing. You're calling deafly.
Yes. Any particular issue?
Well, Devon, KB, and myself, we're in studio and we're discussing the calls by certain people for the Prime Minister to apologize and withdraw statement and that kind of thing.
Well, the truth is, unless I get a very good reason why the Prime Minister must apologize to withdraw the statement that he was supposed to, but up to now I can't see a valid reason why he should, in my opinion.
Because he ain't lie.
Because as I said before to some people, I could recall in 1999 during the campaign, the then Michael Baptiste, he called a particular name who was at hospital administration then, and he said, "You are guilty of taking stuff from the particular hospital to bring to your home." And he mentioned some of the items that were taken from the hospital. He called a particular name, but he said there were no more people that were doing it. I wanted to stop. That was in 1999. So the fact is that has been happening long. So I applaud Dr. for bringing it more to the light now. It's nothing strange. I don't know when people recall that in 1998, but I recall it very well. I mean, in 1999, many people who knew who the hospital administrator in Princess Alice Hospital was. So I don't think, as I said, unless somebody or some person or persons could say why the Prime Minister must withdraw his statement, apologize, then maybe I could support. Right now I can't support it. You see, we need to stop pretending that we do not know what is happening in this country. We all know.
And the fact is, some of the people who are saying that when I remember people like you and others were defending doctors and nurses, when people call me and say every time a child born, the child dead, doctors and nurses killing people, children, they're killing people, you, Sheldon, and others were defending it because you knew it was not true. People like me knew it was not true.
But
so you were defending it.
We can't defend something that we know is happening, and people trying to tell us no, it's not happening.
That's the
we
point
know
I'm
it's
making.
happening.
So when a baby born maybe premature or something like that, and the baby die, and you're going in paper on the radio and say, my grandchild or my niece child born alive, and 10 minutes after the child dead, and they blame the hospital, I recall you and others defending it because you know it is not true. Are you going to defend this now, but you know it is true? You can't. You know, so I just wanted to make the point. You know, I believe Dr. Mitchell did a good job, and every day this gentleman spent in office, he is showing more leadership. He is showing more leadership. He take a brave person, a very brave person to bring on that, and he has done it. History again, Kit Mitchell again.
Bishop,
Yes, man.
are you close to the ladies?
My friend, you didn't know what I'm now in Bushejo.
Yeah, he down the road, he not up the road.
Oh, so you're down the road. So them ladies
I'm
run
now
you
in the
then.
constituency of St. George Northwest. That's where I'm based.
Oh, I hear you, my brother. I thought you was close to the ladies, but I still want to say good morning to all of them anyways.
But I guess they listen.
Yes, wherever they are, whether it's in Boucherjou, in Paul, in Simon, or wherever.
But my body don't have, my heart is up there.
Yeah, I understand.
You understand?
Yeah, I understand why.
All right.
Okay, brother.
Anyway,
Have a good day, Bishop.
All right, Ian, take care.
all right, good man.
Yes, indeed, folks. 4407377 and
347-329-3101.
and we have another caller.
Good morning and welcome.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to your co-host.
Morning.
How is everybody?
Oh, we're fine.
Right, now, issue at hand. I am one of the person who had a concern with the Prime Minister's status, with Prime Minister's statements. But I gave my reason why. I understand fully well why the Prime Minister said. But you see, it's where it's said and how it was said and who was implicated. Because you see, you classify every single person as being in the habit, and that's where I had the problem. But what I said, I work with the public service as a senior, no retired. And I knew before I took up the job what was happening. And even when I took the job, certain things was happening. What I did, as a manager, somebody was put there to fix the problem. I used my job description to do exactly this. I did not sweep anything under the carpet. I put my trap there, I warned my staff, I put things in place. In other words, it fell through, the police came and they started to arrest. Because that was my role. The minister didn't have to tell me what to do, neither the permanent secretary didn't have to tell me what to do. I had a job description and I did my work as a manager and the accounting officer. I was bound to do what I did. And that is where I have the problem. For too long this thing had been going on. But could we name one person who was jailed for that? You see, when you put that to account from the minister down, you have to account. You are the lead accountant, and then you have to designate from you going back down. So the PS, the CEO, the SEO, they also have to account. And if the staff is creating problem below there, they have to be held accountable for allowing the staff to do what they are doing. So somebody has to pay the penalty. Unless we get there, we are not going to solve the problem. Naming people, trying to shame them will not solve the problem. You have to allow the handcuffs to be placed on them. Let the law take its course, and then they pay the penalty of either fine or behind bars. Let me tell you something. My unit was investigated by the commission, the World Commission. And the person put there and did my job the right way, because I brought in stock control within the government system for the first time. And my stock was just correct and perfect. But do you know I was implicated as one of the imperfect people when the investigation was concluded? I have the document. It hurts me up to know that I will never ever take a job with any government again because my character was damaged. And that is why I said what I said based on what the Prime Minister said. Not the Prime Minister said something that was too wrong, but it's how you said, and then you have your system that is not holding people accountable. And I want to see that. Hello?
Yes, we're listening.
Have a great day, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
But I don't share the view that he shouldn't say it where he said it.
And how we say it?
And how he said it, the man was very, very, very clear. Couldn't have been clearer than that. The mindset of some people.
Not all.
So he did not paint with a broad brush.
No. Some people.
But some people decided that they're going to only play some of what he said and put it out there to the general public to give the impression that he was speaking about all
everybody
to create the situation. And
chaos
I can't understand.
and to create chaos and anarchy in the society.
And I can't understand how some people with doctorate can't understand that. Sometimes I have to wonder, you know. Sometimes I just really have to wonder. I can't understand how some people with doctorate can't understand.
We're dealing with an angry base, an angry opposition base.
But then you have some people that are trying to manipulate and trying to create conflict and confusion as much as they can. So they won't continue to try and create conflict. If it's not going to try and count every grain of sand on the beach, just know when tourists leaving the beach, they'll stand up there with a little brush, and every time you walk off the beach, they will brush back the sand. Don't take with sand. You have to leave it right here. Every grain of sand, they go make sure it stays there. That's the rate some of them would go to. Yeah, we know it's we sand. We understand that. But I'm saying that is the rate that some of them are going to right now. They're looking at any little thing to grab on and try and make it into an issue. Try to make it into a national issue.
But you know, the Prime Minister did a lot of persons a favor, you know. Usually when you know of people doing wrong things, stealing, you know, you continue watching them and then you catch them in the trap and you do what needs to be done. But the Prime Minister, I mean, he's looking out for your welfare. He's warning you. He's telling you.
Stop it.
Stop it. There is this thing going on within the sector. It needs to stop.
Affecting the whole society?
Of course. Now, you can say when the hammer comes down on whoever it comes down that you were not warned. And it will. It will come down.
Yeah, something have to be done. They have to move most of the people in leadership position in that area. You can't keep them there.
You know, one thing I'm always glad for, I spent years within the public service, and I know for a fact that when I go home tonight, I lie down in my bed, if I hear a police car passing,
you know they're coming for you.
I know they ain't coming for me.
Exactly.
If I open my front door,
you know they
and I see police in front, I know they come looking for direction.
Yes, not for you.
I know they ain't come for me.
Exactly.
So who have to worry? That the business. But I know I don't have to worry. Assure on that.
God.
Yeah, assure on that. We have a caller.
Good morning and welcome.
Sheldon.
Hey, Kami.
Morning.
Yeah, Kami, morning.
I can't get the signal yesterday. I have no signal, brother. Call my guest.
Okay.
Good morning to you and everyone.
Yes.
And
I want to say happy birthday to Stanley to me, please.
To?
Sammy?
Hello?
Yeah. We listen to you.
Today is your birthday.
Happy birthday to?
Sammy?
Stanley.
Oh, Stanley, yes. Stanley Henry.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Stanley.
Pakai.
And I'm good, alright. But I don't get signal, sorry, nothing.
Oh, boy.
Okay?
Alright, darling, no worries.
I don't get no signal here.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
Well,
alright.
Bye.
Alright.
What has been taking place is that 97.5 isn't back up fully yet, so it's at a bit reduced power. So certain spots, they're having little problems getting it, one or two spots here and there. And 89 is still off. So Mr. Technical Man, you'll tell us what we're going on with 89. Yeah, so but 89 is still off for now. Tomorrow morning, the program note, tomorrow morning we'll be attempting to bring to you live the port opening in Carriacou. Yeah, we'll be attempting to do that. We're not promising, but we're attempting to bring live for you tomorrow the port, official opening of the port in Karaku tomorrow morning. During the point in time, it is usually a hard talk, right, Popo? That we're trying to do. Try to nice up the thing. Nice, right. So we're trying to do that for you tomorrow. All right? Good. Because see, we're nearly out of time.
Yeah, we're nearly out of time.
KB, any final words to the Grenadian people this morning?
Referendum.
Lord, and we nearly out of time. We ain't touch
referendum. And it's important, you know.
Hold a minute, City Song. Yes. Yeah, we kind of lose a few days and it wasn't we fault. So we need our 10 minutes. Yeah, our 15 minutes. We need our 15 minutes. We go nice up that. Nice, yes.
Yeah, it is of paramount importance that we mobilize our forces, our people, and vote yes, you know, for the CCJ. It's too embarrassing, you know, we continue to lag behind, you know, and, you know, do as if, you know, do business as usual. We need to really come out and campaign, you know, in every street corner, in every shop, you know, on the radio, TV, television, newspaper.
Let me ask you a question.
To do it.
Let me ask you a serious question. How can anyone who calls themselves a progressive, anybody who calls themselves a revolutionary or past revolutionary, a progressive, a patriot, not support the CCJ?
That is the embarrassment.
I really want to know how somebody could tell me there's a progressive.
What they're saying is
how are you a progressive and you don't support the CCJ?
What they understand from some of them, they say, yes, we support it in principle, but...
What is that?
I don't understand. We support it in principle, but all because they don't want it to happen under this government.
That is not principle. That more song like the cleaner in the school.
They support it in principle. Quietly, when they meet intelligent people, they say yes, but when they meet on the ground, they say you don't support it. But I think it's so important that we put this CCJ on the front burner, and we all come out and support it. You know, we can't miss it. You know, every time you get a chance, you need to mention it and encourage people to go out and vote yes.
Yes, indeed. And tomorrow, actually, we have a CCJ meeting taking place at Wayne's Garage up there in Karaku. A lot of things taking place in Karaku tomorrow. You know. So you have the port opening in the morning, tomorrow evening. You have the CCJ Advisory Committee. They're going to be having that meeting at Wayne's Garage up there in Karaku. And then they'll be heading to Petit Martinique on Friday. Yeah, so I should be saying we will be heading to Petit Martinique on Friday. So yeah, so it's going to be a wonderful one. They can come out, the people of Karaku can come out and hear about the Caribbean Court of Justice.
Of course, I wonder why we want people who don't even understand our culture, our lifestyle,
to continue to
judge us. Or to
making sense.
When you look at the makeup of the CCJ, the judges on the CCJ, you have one from the Netherlands, you have one from England, you have one from Belize, Trinidad, I think St. Lucia,
St. Vincent,
and St. Vincent. Yeah. So you have a mix.
Yeah.
You have the international together with the local.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Privy Council, all man Jack you see in there, it's just people from Scotland and England. That's the only two places, and not because the name Scotland feel they know about Scott. Just a set of people from Scotland and England, just those two places. No understanding of the Caribbean, no knowledge of the Caribbean.
Limited knowledge of what goes on.
And then you have to find, literally, tens of thousands of dollars to go and argue a case there. When you could sit down in Hillsborough in Karaku, you go in the resource center, they put a little camera on you and you put your little video thing there, and you could argue your case on the CCJ.
Yep. Of course.
You could discuss your case, your lawyer sit down with you, you discuss your case in the CCJ. You don't have to jump the Osprey and come down to Grenada. You could do your case from right there. In fact, you don't even have to go in town and go in the resource center. If you have a good internet home, you sit down home with your lawyer, or you go to your lawyer home or your lawyer office, and you do it from there. And some people still saying
accessibility.
No. Some people still say no, you know.
My problem is that the same one who concerned about the Chinese coming and say, hey, the Chinese coming to recolonize this country, still want us to hold on to the Privy Council. In one breath, you're saying you don't want colonization, but you still want us
to stay in
colonization. You want to stay into that system.
It's strange that people who say I'm one of the progressives and I'm one of the revolutionary minds and I'm one of the people for forward movement and patriotism and self-sustainability and so on. And they would speak about, oh, well, we need to take the Queen off of the money.
Yeah.
But it's not the Queen money, it's we money.
Yeah.
The Queen can come and take whatever money in my pocket. If I used to have money in my pocket, she can come and take the money and see what she face on it that she own. She can come and empty the prison and say, well, it's Her Majesty's prison, I decide everybody going home. She can't do that. So those are things just in name, but the CCJ actually affect the Privy Council actually affects our lives, because when they make a judgment down up there, it affects us down here. They could decide whether, for instance, if they decide they go in and discuss the issue of legalizing gay marriage throughout the Caribbean region, if they decide that it's legal, that's it, That's it. All of us have to fall. We have to live with it. And because some fellas in England decide that they're going to legalize it.
They're going to take a position from a European standpoint.
Yeah, they're not looking at us and say, well, from a Caribbean standpoint.
Not Caribbean standpoint.
They say those savages down there, we're telling them how they're supposed to live. We're not looking at how they live and saying, well, that's how their culture is and so. We're telling those savages down there that's how you're supposed to live.
What is NDC position as a party towards the CCJ presently now?
Which one of the NDC?
The NDC as a party, what
which
is
one
their position?
Which one of the party?
One of the NDC party.
Well, I know that problem. I don't know which fraction, but do they have
not fraction?
Who is the messenger? The messenger is still Kem Jones. The messenger is still Ali Matura. Who is the messenger?
I do know that Glenn Noel would have spoken at the CCJ forum in St. Andrew.
Yeah.
And he did say that the party is supportive of the CCJ. They have their issues.
Very good speech, though.
They have their issues on certain things, like, for instance, the status of the courts in Grenada, and one or two other things.
Okay.
But that they are supportive of the CCJ. He said he's not representing himself. He's representing the party. He made it clear. He was speaking on behalf of the party, and the party is supportive of the Caribbean Court of Justice. At least that's what he said there.
Yeah, that's what he said there, and he was very emphatic about it too. Give his reasons and so. But
that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe that the party is supportive. There may be the elements within it that look at it from not, and keep saying it's not a political standpoint, but a standpoint of hate.
Yeah.
That this has been done under. I mean, I listened to an individual, and this individual tries to pass themselves off as an intelligent woman. Because they try to speak all highfalutin and that sort of thing. And as you know, we could do that, but we just decided we ain't doing it. But they decided that, I'm not going to vote for that because Keith Mitchell looking for legacy and I ain't going to vote for that. Because Keith Mitchell looking for a legacy, I ain't giving him no legacy. I don't vote in for that. Now, they're speaking here about the same doctor they write about Keith Mitchell that on 3 occasions has won all the seats in Parliament. On one of the occasions, did it from in opposition. And on a next occasion, did it back to back. Never done in the whole history of the Commonwealth of Nations. In fact, any country that is a democratic country, I've never heard of anybody doing that. Longest serving Prime Minister. You look at 1995 and you look at now, you realize Tongue expand. We have cruise ship port in Tongue where ships used to stay outside and had to send the tender out from on the Carenage Day to go and meet people and bring them in. You have where the fish market is now. You have the road network that was developed and will be redeveloped again. You have so much that was done. When our young people used to go and in the different playing fields and so on and grass tying your foot.
Yeah.
But now you look, we had National Stadium, you had the English cricket team.
Yeah.
And the English cricket team, they asked specifically to come to Grenada. When they said they have the tour of the Caribbean, they said, yes, we're coming to the Caribbean, but make sure that Grenada is on the itinerary.
Yes.
Because they want to come to the Isle of Spice. They love it here and they feel safe here. They go Trinidad, they have to keep them in a hotel. You have to have armed security around them.
Yeah.
They come in Grenada, they're free.
They're free.
They could relax. So they asked specifically to come to Grenada. This could not have happened back in 1995. So Dr. Mitchell already has a legacy. They can't take his legacy by not voting for the CCJ.
No, he created the atmosphere.
It doesn't affect his legacy.
No.
It does not affect, because all you're saying is like some people, I remember the morning after the last referendum, you had some people calling in radio program, boy. Yes, we get rid of him now. We get rid of him now. He had to resign. He had to go. Yes, so when the Prime Minister stepping down. And it's like these people had no idea what they did.
No.
Because they're basically, what was being offered at that time, you offered term limits.
Yes.
So he was offering you a term limit. He was saying that, look, right, we're putting a term limit in place.
Cut back on his time.
I put him back on my time. I can't. if I want to stay, I can't because there's a term limit.
Yeah.
He was actually doing that. They said no. He said, well, look, we won all the seats. We didn't have a representative of the opposition in Parliament. Let's set up and give a person in the House of Representatives. We could have a representative. So your party leader who you choose would end up in the House of Representatives. They said no.
Election and Boundary Commission.
They would have people on the Election and Boundary Commission to speak about the same issues that they're trying to speak about now. They would have had representatives to recommend people to the Election and Boundaries Commission so that you could have reformed the electoral process in Grenada.
They voted against
They
that.
said no. So all that happened is the day after the last referendum, everything that existed before still existed. Dr. Mitchell lost nothing. In fact, it showed that people really didn't want an opposition leader, so they decided. And they prove it again this year by voting again overwhelmingly in favor of the New National Party. So how do you destroy his legacy by voting no? I mean, it's the stupidest, dumbest statement I've heard in the whole of 2018.
Why you want to punish the whole country because of Dr. Mitchell?
But I can't understand.
He wouldn't be with us forever. He would not be with us forever.
You look throughout the Caribbean, and when you're speaking politics, for any time you mention his name, especially for people who are involved in politics, it's like they always want to meet him. I was among a group of young people in Jamaica a few years ago, and when they hear Dr. Mitchell, everybody run. They want picture with him. They want to talk to him. They want an opportunity to get a word of advice from him. They want to be seen with him. They want to be around him and so on, as well as, and it's not only the youth, the other politicians as well, because they feel now they want a little bit of what you have rub off.
So exactly.
They come in.
And you have the formula.
Yeah. So, I mean, what legacy are you destroying by voting no? What you're doing is the poor people in Grenada, who child may get tied up. Exactly. The child might get tied up in a crime.
They can't afford it in the Privy Council.
Exactly. And the child might be innocent, you know.
Yeah.
But the lower courts did not give a proper judgment on it, and the child remains in prison.
Yeah.
And you have the opportunity now to go to the final court. You can't afford to go to the Privy Council, but you could afford the CCJ. You are saying now, let that poor person child suffer and stay in jail innocently. Innocently, that's what they're saying, because they're trying to spite one man. I heard the statement.
Yeah.
Dumbest statement I heard for the year.
Of course.
Dumbest statement I heard for the year.
They support it in principle, but you have good reason. They give you any valid reason, Devon, for not supporting it?
Just principle.
What principle?
But even the thing is that you're hearing some people that are not supporting it. It's not politics. It's just pure hatred, and it's how they say it. You could hear it. It's just pure hatred.
The attitude, man. The attitude. Bad attitude.
Man,
that's why they are not even in opposition. That's why they are not part of this whole thing. They are not even in opposition. You can't consider them as opposition because their contribution towards nation building is so
contribution.
It's so non-existent.
Folks, that's all the time. KB, again, final word to the listeners.
You know, again, I want to support the Prime Minister for the statement made. You know, and those who doing wrong in the hospital, please stop doing it. And those who working hard, we want to commend you to continue working hard. You know, do your work, be a true patriot. You know, we don't come here to bash the whole hospital staff. You know, but only those who really embarrassing us and fail to perform with distinction. I think the PM had all right to shame you because to steal from sick people, to steal from the dead, it's mind-boggling. Please stop it and let's move forward and make Grenada a better place. I think that is our aim and objective. All of us want to make Grenada a better place. But if we continue to do the wrong, and steal the cheese, steal the chicken, and shop as though we're shopping in Foodland and Real Value, we can't go forward. And health is wealth. This a nation, nation that cannot look after himself is doomed. And no matter what amount of money we put in health, it's like you're going into a dark, big hole. We can't see where you go. You know, we really have to do better.
Yes, indeed. Folks, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. It's been wonderful being here with you. My name is Sheldon Scott.
I'm Devon Romain.
And that's KB. Kennedy Budla.
Thanks for having me anyway.
Yes, indeed. And you know, the door always open to you, KB.
Okay.
Yeah, we calling for KB for a long while, but he was handling other scenes. So he come finally. He reached the studio with us. Yes, indeed. So folks, and whatever you say, do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you.
Not about you.
We are out of here.
The CCJ will be a Caribbean court, reflective of Caribbean culture, Caribbean values, and everything Caribbean. I ask this question: which court do you think will adequately reflect the views of Caribbean people to those who worry? Will it be the Privy Council, persons in Britain, persons who have never lived in the Caribbean, persons who don't share our values, persons who don't understand what we stand for and what values we uphold? Or would it be our people who have grown among us, who live among us, who attend the churches we attend, who attend the schools we attend, who are members of the soccer teams that we are members of? Who best do you think will reflect us?
It's about time. It's long overdue. We should be there because, you know, get out of the British thing, and so we are all one Caribbean, and I think that will be binding us more together.
Yours is yours. Privy Council is not ours. No matter what we do, what we say, no matter what ties we had to England, this is the time to keep divesting ourselves of those strings that tie us unnecessarily.
There's nothing in this bill for any partisan political party. Nothing. There's only one thing in this. It's for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and for the Caribbean region as a whole.
Justice has to be accessible, affordable, and swift.
Je donne à présent la parole.
The Assembly will now hear an address by His Excellency Mr. Peter David, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Labour of Grenada.
Madam President, Mr. Secretary General, heads of government and delegations, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to extend the usual warm greetings from the government and people of Grenada, on whose behalf I am privileged to address this noble institution and its distinguished members. Madam President, I join those before me in congratulating your election as President of this 73rd Assembly. I am confident in your stewardship, and I assured you of my delegation's cooperation and support. I am also pleased to join esteemed colleagues before me in thanking the outgoing President of the 72nd session of the General Assembly, His Excellency Miroslav Lajcak, for his able and focused leadership. Indeed, I must also congratulate and thank Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez for his leadership of the United Nations, and to express our deep gratitude, especially for the keen interest shown in the developmental challenges facing small island developing states. Madam President, the government and people of Grenada joined others around the world in mourning the passing of former United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan. Mr. Annan, who served the United Nations with distinction, was a consummate diplomat and international statesman who resolutely defended the ideals of international peace and security. The former UN Secretary General was a humanitarian who worked tirelessly to ensure that disadvantaged persons around the world were afforded their human rights. Madam President, Mr. Annan's wise and courageous leadership helped place the issue of sustainable development on the international agenda through the Millennium Development Goals. The MDGs have since evolved into the Sustainable Development Goals, another globally agreed upon framework designed to push the international development agenda. Madam President, we are acutely aware of how critical development issues are for small island developing states like Grenada, and we are indebted to Kofi for initiating and spearheading this historic global movement. Today, as we mourn his loss, we are comforted by the fact that his legacy will continue to inspire generations of leaders around the world. Madam President, there's one particular quote from Brother Kofi that resonates deeply and is very relevant to this year's UNGA theme. He said, "To live is to choose, but to choose well, you must know who you are and what you stand for, where you want to go, and why you want to get there." Madam President, as member states of this noble body, we must deliberately choose to make the United Nations relevant to all peoples. We must also choose a deliberate path to global leadership that promotes shared responsibility for peaceful, equitable, and sustainable societies. Madam President, Grenada also joins with the rest of the UN community in honoring the late South African hero and international statesman Nelson Mandela on the centenary of his birth. This tribute comes at a time when the international community is looking to leaders who understand the necessity of fostering international solidarity and cooperation. Leaders who bring people together and who sacrifice for the greater good. The global community has no better example of this than the late, great Madiba. It is our hope that leaders everywhere will work diligently to uphold his staunch legacy of promoting peace, equality, and human dignity. Madam President, our assemblies occurring in a global context characterized by change in political, ideological, and religion-based tensions, social revolution, and an increasing anxiety about economic, social, and political inequality and marginalization. These global changes are magnified, especially for developing states, in the face of challenging phenomena such as climate change, natural disasters, and non-communicable diseases. With limited access to development financing, these challenges are further exacerbated. Pursuing policies and strategies for confronting these challenges with the corresponding extraordinary solutions must be the most imperative means towards securing more sustainable societies. Madam President, we are well into the 2018 hurricane season, yet the Caribbean is still recovering from one of the most devastating hurricane seasons in 2017. We held our breath as this year's various tropical systems, Beryl, Isaac, and only this week, Kirk, took aim at our region. Such weather systems are yet another reminder of the vulnerability of the region and the realities of climate change, capable of eviscerating whole industries in a matter of hours. This is especially evident in our region, which is heavily dependent on agriculture and tourism, and in which any damage to property or infrastructure is significant. Yet, Madam President, there is hope. Too often we talk about the disadvantages of small nations. The global climate change challenges offers us an opportunity to not only highlight our vulnerability, but to also focus on the distinct advantages of being small states. The Caribbean and other states can serve as test cases for nationwide implementation of climate-related technologies and advances. We also represent some of the most globally compelling business cases for sustainable renewable energy investment. Being climate smart goes beyond policies. It goes beyond resilient housing, resilient infrastructure, and resilient agriculture. It means that the region can also serve as a global beacon for renewable energy and energy efficiency. We aim to not only be resilient, but with our region's tremendous potential in hydroelectricity and geothermal energy, we could also be climate smart. In understanding the need to rethink our adaptation to climate change, the government of Grenada has established a new overarching ministry titled the Ministry of Climate Resilience, Environment, Fisheries, Forestry, Disaster Management, and Information. Its mandate is to work speedily to ensure that ingrained in every aspect of our country's development is a question of addressing climate change and climate resilience. Grenada is also currently shifting some of its macroeconomic focus to ensure attention is paid to the development of our green and blue economies, thus marrying economic development with environmental sustainability. The road to climate-smart sustainability is long and arduous, but it is not insurmountable, and we must ensure that we are strategic in this journey. Madam President, in building climate-smart and sustainable societies, we cannot discount the inherent need to improve the health of our citizens and the conditions for fostering good health. Unfortunately, like many CARICOM states and other developing nations, Grenada struggles with the scourge of non-communicable diseases. Madam President, to avoid repeating some of the alarming health statistics with which we are confronted and developmentally challenged, I only wish to emphasize that our government calls for global leadership and looks forward to international solutions that would preserve the health of our people, promote longevity, and sustain our future. Indeed, the successful completion of this week's high-level meetings on non-communicable diseases and tuberculosis is encouraging, particularly the commitments set forth in the political declarations, laudably adopted by consensus. Now is the time to scale up our efforts to ensure we honor those commitments. Madam President, as we attempt to create sustainable societies, we are confronted with certain global financial policies and actions that pose significant threats to our region's sustainable development. Corresponding banking and de-risking, blacklisting and middle-income status graduation are measures that negatively affect Caribbean economies. Madam President, the unilateral and premature graduation of many small island developing states to middle-income status without consideration of our region's specific vulnerabilities has resulted in significant budgetary shortfalls, adversely affecting our economic and social development. Madam President, our region has inherent structural economic challenges that already restrict the pace of our development. We ask that these impediments to growth be considered when our matters arise for consideration. Madam President, the Caribbean Development Bank has pioneered the use of vulnerability indices when setting terms of its financing. Likewise, we urge international partners to work toward an acceptable country vulnerability index that holistically assesses our country's developmental risks. Moreover, the withdrawal of corresponding banking services to CARICOM member states can be seen as an economic assault that would destabilize the financial sector of our already vulnerable economies. Remittances contribute in real and significant terms to the GDP of small states. In fact, the World Bank has stated that any sudden stop in remittances in economies that rely on these flows could pose significant threat to socio-economic stability. Added to the threat of loss of corresponding banking relationships, we also have to contend with the unilateral and often unfounded blacklisting of our institutions as money launderers and our countries as tax havens. It pains us as policymakers when we expend our limited resources to comply with international rules, only to face arbitrary punishments when we are quite evidently doing our best. There are no easy answers to these challenges, but I urge our partners to desist from draconian approaches to these matters when dealing with vulnerable developing nations. Madam President, Grenada continues to work with our international partners to advocate international peace and security. Grenada's position on the development of nuclear weapons is clear. The development of nuclear weapons is inherently destructive and therefore serves no good purpose for humanity. Deterrence only makes sense when there is a possibility of deployment. The mere existence of these weapons anywhere is not acceptable. Grenada therefore urges its friends to desist from the development and testing of these weapons. Imagine what we could achieve instead if we were to put our brilliant scientists to work on climate change and building climate-smart, resilient, and sustainable societies. Madam President, as we strive to maintain the Caribbean region as a zone of peace, some of us continue to be affected by the trafficking of small arms from the countries that manufacture and sell these arms freely. In some of our islands, states of emergency have been declared at various times to control criminal activity because of the increasing availability and use of small arms. Madam President, small arms and gun violence undermine the rule of law and are often major factors behind the displacement of civilians and the violations of human rights. Madam President, we cannot build sustainable societies if our public security is incessantly threatened by this scourge. Madam President, the main aim of the United Nations is to maintain international peace and security and to prevent violence and war. Indeed, in the United Nations Charter, there are only 5 references to war, while it refers to peace 47 times. Madam President, this is extremely instructive to us, and therefore it is imperative that the global leadership take decisive action. Indeed, as we strive to create sustainable societies, the people of Cuba continue to suffer under the unjust decades-old embargo imposed on them by the United States of America. Grenada continues to call for the immediate lifting of the unfair embargo, unfair economic, commercial, and financial embargo on the Republic of Cuba. Madam President, as such, Grenada strongly supports General Assembly Resolution 70/5, which calls for an end to this dreadful embargo on the Republic of Cuba. Madam President, some of our nations in Latin America are currently experiencing political and economic challenges which threaten the peaceful existence, sustainable development, and by extension, the stability of the region. Grenada calls for dialogue and asks that good sense and wisdom prevail in all attempts aimed at resolving these conflicts. In the same vein, we call for the political integrity and sovereignty of these states to be respected. The government of Grenada continues to offer its hand in good faith to facilitate dialogue towards the settlement of said disputes. Madam President, as I close, I implore that we be relentless in our pursuit of the purposes of this organization. Our quest must be for the pursuit of economic opportunities as we strive to achieve peaceful, equitable, and sustainable societies for all. These ideals will be out of our reach if we do not promote, encourage, and I dare say insist on resolute global leadership in solving our developmental challenges that transcend boundaries. I thank you.
I also want to make a statement. I've prepared a statement which I'd like to read to you with respect to recent events occurring. In fact, events that occurred yesterday and today as a reaction to a town hall meeting that occurred in New York on Thursday. I speak to you today on a matter of grave concern to us all, the current state of affairs of our public health care service. I would like to speak of the current dilemma that we are faced with. In particular, the dilemma that has our public health care workers up in arms as a result of statements made at a town hall meeting in New York last Thursday, some 2,000 miles away. As public officials, as a public official, I am always aware that sometimes, to some people, words mean more than actions. And in the democracy we hold near and dear to us, that it is a right that we should fervently defend. A right to have differing opinions, to disagree on an issue. I also believe that as a proud developing nation, we should always have national health care at the forefront of our public discourse. It is with this in mind that I must say that I am saddened that in the recent days the discourse on healthcare has been one of he said, she said, as opposed to the real issue of patient care in Grenada. The fervor and offense taken by words uttered in Brooklyn appear to be misdirected. I started by saying that we are all entitled to our own opinion, and I express mine, my own here. In the course of a 2.5-hour event in which much was said about healthcare in Grenada, the only takeaway by some is a 10-second statement which, in my opinion, has been taken out of context and blown way out of proportion. I hold our providers of healthcare, our doctors, our nurses, orderlies, drivers, and other ancillary service providers in high esteem. Many, if not all, have provided and continue to provide yeoman service under challenging conditions. I want the public discourse on healthcare in Grenada to remain at the forefront. I want it to be about and have included in that discourse our very healthcare providers. I believe that the focus should be about quality of patient care and how can we constantly improve on it. As a public official, many times I have had statements made about me that I strongly disagree with or take strong offense to. In some instances, by the very healthcare providers that collectively my primary mission is to serve. I do not believe that I have the right to withdraw my services or cause others to suffer because of such offenses taken by me, whether perceived or real. As a proud Grenadian and servant of the people, I move on and I move forward. As such, I judge others under the same rules that I judge myself. Let us have that discourse on healthcare. Let us have meaningful debate about improving healthcare. Let us talk about the fact that yesterday it took a fully functional ambulance 2 hours to get to someone in need, not for lack of equipment, not for lack of nurses, not for lack of orderlies or doctors at our general hospital, but because of statements made some 2,000 miles away. Words. As well as a deliberate choice by some to ignore all the other positive statements made about our health system and our healthcare providers in Grenada at that event. Should we not be discussing the fact that we have new ambulances on island and 5 more to arrive in the next month, and how best we can have them serve our people? Should we be discussing the soon-to-be commissioned Phase 2 of the General Hospital and how best we can serve our people? Should we be discussing electronic medical records and how best it will serve us as healthcare providers and our people? Should we be discussing national health insurance, equipment on the wards, stocking of pharmacies, budgets, HPV vaccinations, and yes, our doctors and nurses and ambulance drivers, and how best we can serve our people? Should we care about words or actions? Actions that benefit our people, patient care. At the beginning of this term in office, I invited dialogue with the trade unions on what was meaningful to their membership in respect to healthcare in Grenada. All the unions, in fact, were invited. In fact, the invitation was extended through the Trade Union Congress. At that meeting, meaningful discussions were had on the state of affairs of our healthcare system and what was important to the membership of the unions present. Sadly, the Public Workers Union was not present. The union that represents most, if not all, of our healthcare providers on island. But I did not then, nor do I now, take offense. Instead, I publicly offer another opportunity to have such discourse with the Trade Union Congress at a time convenient to them. It would afford us an opportunity to update them on the developments since last we met, and also for the Public Workers Union to participate in such a dialogue. You see, when it comes to healthcare, the discourse goes way beyond an employer-employee dialogue. We, on our own, cannot solve all the issues relevant to the citizens of Grenada. I admire the passion with which our healthcare workers set about their jobs, especially today. I just believe that the passion is misdirected. Let us collectively and passionately discuss patient care. In particular, let us discuss what some of our patients are saying about us. That, in some instances, is even more offensive. Let us discuss how we are going to explain to the individual yesterday that waited 2 hours in pain for an ambulance because of statements made 2,000 miles away last week. Let us look him in the eye and see what comfort that statement brings him. I invite you to join me on that journey. I invite you to join me on the never-ending journey of better healthcare for our citizens. I invite you to join me as I introduce to the team in the General Hospital our new hospital administrator, Dr. Carol McIntosh, a G1 oncologist, a Grenadian, in fact a Caracuan, who has chosen to return and serve to improve patient care. Let's talk scholarships and training and better working conditions for you, the doctors, nurses, and health.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not about me, this is about all of you and all of us. But I want to say one thing before we start. In 1979, a number of our young people did something that reverberated around the world. Something that it may not have lasted forever, but has, in a world of no cell phone and no internet and no fax machine or nothing like that, has established institutions that today we are very proud of. MNIB, National Insurance Board, and the airport. You know, we should have been the first one signing on to the CCJ. We should have been. I don't know what happened, but given what we did then, we should have been the first. So keep that in the back of your minds with those of you who have all the excuses in the world as to why we shouldn't do it.
Grenada is about to embark on another historic mission of amending its constitution for the first time since its independence. From all indication, the push is for the changes to be made before the end of the year, 2 years after the first attempt failed.
We believe the CCJ is an important issue to take a second look at, and we're involving the same people, the community group, the legal professions, and other parties involved. And hopefully we'll have everyone playing a very united role in going forward, because if we do not work together, then clearly it's not necessarily going to pass. And I think it would be a tragedy of justice for this country and for the Caribbean. But I think it's about time that we stop having faith in everybody else but ourselves. All people, jurists have served regional and international institutions around with distinction. And it would be, to me, almost an insult to say to ourselves that we cannot be responsible for justice in our country.
2 years ago, 8 bills were tabled for constitution change. But this time around, the focus is on one which, if successful, will see the Caribbean Court of Justice replacing the London Privy Council as the final court of appeal. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, who was re-elected to office by a landslide victory on March 13, 2018, says he intends to play an active role this time around.
And the CCJ so far has demonstrated that it has stood out in terms of its decision-making process. And no one can say that the governments who are now part, the countries that are now part of the CCJ, are getting decisions based on the governance, govern those in political office. So in that sense, the people should be very happy that it's very independent judicial process, and I certainly, as a Grenadian and a Caribbean man, I certainly would want to support it. I will play a much more active role this time than I did the last time.
The bill seeking the constitutional change is already out. It's called the Constitution of Grenada Caribbean Court of Justice and Other Justice-Related Matters Amendment Bill 2018, one of the 8 attempted 2 years ago. It includes almost everything in the 2016 bill, but removed are the sections that speak about the code of conduct for public officials and the swearing allegiance to the country. Debate has continued over the years about doing away with the Privy Council and replacing it with the Caribbean Court of Justice system, the CCJ. The Privy Council in London and the CCJ based in Trinidad are both a final court of appeal that retries civil and criminal cases if the original ruling is thought not to be satisfactory. But proponents argue that the CCJ, formed and operated by the Caribbean people, would allow for a sense of independence and would make access to a fair trial much easier.
The arguments in favor of independence, the CCJ being an independent court, and in fact, the CCJ being one of the most independent courts in terms of structure and appointment of judges, not just in the region, but it is used as a model for other courts, particularly in relation to financing and in relation to the selection of judges. And that ultimately is the test.
There have been some recurring points of concerns about the idea of the CCJ as Grenada's final court of appeal, access, cost, and the likelihood of political interference.
What the CCJ has done and what has been approved with respect to the CCJ is the setting up of this independent trust fund that is managed by a board of trustees. And what is important about that board of trustees and the composition of that board of trustees is that you have no politicians at all on that board.
Former Minister of Legal Affairs Elvin Nimrod tabled the bill in Parliament in 2016. Newly appointed Minister of Legal Affairs Honorable Kindra Mathurin-Stewart says the implementation of the CCJ to Grenada will enhance the judiciary system of the trial and state.
For Grenada to have access to the CCJ as its final appellate court, that would mean for us here in Grenada that our people would have greater access to justice. As you know, with the Privy Council, persons had to travel far to England to access the Privy Council. But of course, the CCJ is right next door, and I believe, of course, with its location and its ease of access, that locals, ordinary people like me and you, would be able to have access to justice.
The Legal Affairs Minister says she believes there are competent experts here that are capable to execute the process.
I believe that we in the Caribbean are capable of creating and making our own jurisprudence. We don't have to depend on English judges and English folks to make jurisprudence for us. And I believe that we are well capable. We've had notable jurists and persons coming out or emanating from the Caribbean, CARICOM. And I believe that we possess that that talent, we possess that experiences, and I believe that we are well poised to create our own jurisprudence. That in its sense alone too would basically signal, of course, a greater independence for us as an independent nation of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
In October of 2016, the Grenada Constitution reform was held, where citizens took to the polls to cast their ballots for or against the implementation of the CCJ as the final appellate court. Constitution reform process then was denied based on the outcome of the votes. Although CARICOM created the CCJ as a replacement for the Privy Council, it did not fully replicate the British system. Instead, it chose to copy certain practices while creating other divergent ones. Residents here say, while they are willing to accept the change, there must be proper consultation on the subject.
Public education, and my first observation is that there are too many lessons, or if not lessons, too many chapters, or if not chapters, too many books to be learned within that space of time. The bills, the issues for the referendum, they are significant enough and far-reaching to have what I refer to as a limited time.
That of the CCJ, which country like Trinidad, Barbados, country which implemented that CCJ and they are ineffective already, they still go to the Privy Council for hearing in the jurisdiction. So we go into the CCJ now. We are neglecting the Privy Council and go to the CCJ. And them countries which are still implementing the CCJ, the Privy Council for a hearing. So how that go be looked when we neglect the Privy Council and go to the CCJ, and them countries which implemented the CCJ are still under the Privy Council.
During the swearing-in ceremony, after winning all 15 seats at the 2018 general election, Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell reassured the nation that consultation and education on the process will soon resume.
As each of us seeks to protect and save our children, we must look out also for our neighbors' children and to the broader issue of justice. And as it is also related to our independence and to our national identity, we must open up a dialogue again about joining the Caribbean Court of Justice.